nearby hospital. The boy, according to the mayor's office, did not appear to have died from an infectious disease. A cause of death is still being investigated. Meantime, the mayor's top migrant official, Beatriz Ponce de Leon, did not have good answers for taxpayers.
We are aware, we are engaged in building community safety plans at a regional level for shelters within a certain area of the city.
Meantime, this morning, a Chicago man whose murder conviction was recently overturned is free after spending more than 12 years behind bars.
It ain't registered yet. It's gonna hit me though. When it hit me, I'm gonna be happy. I lost a lot. I lost all my friends. I lost a lot of things. I lost things I could never get back. No amount of money can repay the time that I lost.
Darian Harris was freed from the Cook County Jail last night. Prosecutors deciding not to retry him in a deadly shooting stemming from a Southside gas station incident in 2011. After saying last week they would retry that case.
He went in as just an 18-year-old, just turned 18 a week from his high school graduation.
Harris's attorneys say the man's conviction was based in part on the testimony of an eyewitness who turned out to be legally blind. 3 people are hurt following a fire at a public housing building on Chicago's north side. The blaze broke out last night in a 4th-floor unit of the Ella Flagg Young Apartments on North Sheridan Road. 2 are in critical condition. At 5:05, the University of Illinois Chicago is under federal investigation after allegations of discrimination. The investigations are part of a widespread investigation launched by the Biden administration, efforts to take action against a rise in reports of anti-Jewish and anti-Arab incidents on college campuses. 2 women are suing the Chicago Park District over allegations that they were sexually abused while working as underage lifeguards. The suit filed in Cook County Court this week claims the plaintiffs were abused by male supervisors. Illinois' population is down for a 10th year in a row. And new estimates from the Census Bureau show the state lost nearly 33,000 residents between July 2022 and July 2023. Well, it's a mug that has become a hot purchase over the holidays in Chicago and the suburbs and is quickly selling out. It's the Chris Kindle Market souvenir mug. It was only available at the popular outdoor markets in Aurora, Chicago, and Wrigleyville. Chicago and Aurora versions of the mug are officially sold out. The Wrigleyville mug is expected to be sold out today. Last year's mug can still be purchased. Chicago sports, Blackhawks' Tyler Johnson nets the game-winning goal in the middle of the third to ice the Colorado Avalanche 3-2 at the UC.
Great to see Kevin Korchinski back here in Chicago. Amongst the brothers, as Nick Foligno says.
Zaitsev, Foligno, score! Tyler Johnson on the back door! And the Hawks lead in the third.
So good to hear Darren Pang on the call. Lucas Reichel tied the game at 2 with a goal late in the second period. Ryan Donato also lit the lamp in the victory. Chicago hosts Montreal on Friday. Bulls will try to get a winning streak going when they host the LA Lakers at the UC tonight. Bears return to the practice field today as they get ready for Week 16 and the Arizona, formerly the Chicago Cardinals. Fire FC building for the future. 5 draft picks in the Super Draft yesterday, selecting goalkeeper Brian Dowd with the 6th pick overall. Boy, what happened to the Fighting Irish last night? Falling asleep at the wheel in a loss to the Citadel at Joyce Center, 65-45. Loyola, a winner last night. Valparaiso lost to Samford, and Northwestern heads to the desert to take on the ASU Sun Devils, coming off a win over DePaul. The news service of Mattress Firm and their once-a-year sale and clearance. You can save up to 60% on select mattresses, plus score a free adjustable base on qualifying purchases. Here's to better sleep in 2024. The right mattress matters. Mattress Firm will find yours. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
This is Albert Mohler for townhall.com. President Biden recently tied together 3 active national security threats for the United States: the war in Israel, the war in Ukraine, and the crisis on the American border. Almost as soon as he said it, I think President Biden regretted saying it, but he was right. House Republicans heard him and have been insisting that real changes be made in border security. In the name of migration and claims of amnesty, thousands of people are coming into the United States every day, and they're coming without legal permission. In just one day last week, we saw 11,000 such entries. Again, 11,000 persons coming into the United States across the border in a single day. The border's out of control. Republican ranks have closed around this issue, using their leverage to do something about the border. Note this: a nation that doesn't control its borders is a nation that undermines its own security. Republicans are absolutely right to call for real change. We have to regain control of our own border. I'm Albert Mohler.
'Tis the season to think boating. Yes, Freedom Boat Club is the world's original and largest members-only boat club, now with 20-plus locations near you throughout Greater Chicagoland, Wisconsin, Northwest Indiana, and Southwest Michigan, plus 375 nationwide and global locations. Join Boat in Freedom's warm weather harbors now and think spring. Your membership enables access to their massive fleet of late model boats, slipped, insured, stored, maintained, cleaned, and ready for your use. Just pick the location of choice, reserve a boat, show up at the dock, and go boating. Membership includes training to enhance boating skills and comfort level at the helm. It's never been easier to give the gift of boating. Imagine the smile on the face of your loved ones when they realize they just became boaters. Joining is easy. Go to freedomboatclub.com, find a location near you, zoom in on the map, and select the location that works best for you. That's freedomboatclub.com, or call 888-781-7363. At Freedom Boat Club, boating season never ends. Merry Christmas.
5:11, and let's get a check on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time this morning. We're not seeing too many problems out there. Edens, Kennedy, Ike, and Stevenson are off on time. The only major problem are for our friends along the Skokie Swift. CTA Yellow Line service remains suspended, and there is shuttle bus service available through this week between Howard and Dempster. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. We get the latest with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Today, times of clouds and sun. Our high today, 42. Becoming cloudy tonight, low 32. Clouds tomorrow, the high 43. Friday, cloudy with a bit of rain, the high at 43. Saturday, clouds and mild, high 47. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
32 at O'Hare, 33 Midway, 26 and partly cloudy in Aurora. Right now, mostly cloudy and 33 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answers starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
Long day. Time to charge up.
Hey, just like my delivery truck.
Even kids know to keep business moving forward, it's time to make the switch to electric vehicles. Whether you have one van or a whole fleet of trucks, resources are available to help you make the changes that make sense.
Let's go.
Beep, beep.
Go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
Most folks don't realize this fact. Our country is only 4 missed meals away from chaos, and those meals can vanish fast. In a national emergency, fragile supply chains break down and will wipe grocery store shelves clean in a matter of hours. Before this happens, there's something you should do today. That's stock up on emergency food storage. My Patriot Supply is the company millions of American families trust for their emergency supplies. You should too. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and secure their best-selling 3-month emergency food kits. Each kit contains delicious breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, averaging over 2,000 calories per day. My Patriot Supply also sells large solar generators, gravity-powered water filtration systems, off-grid room heaters for when the power goes out, heirloom seeds, and other survival necessities. Order by 3 p.m. and your items ship the same day, fast. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com right now. Those who know what's coming prepare before the chaos starts. MyPatriotSupply.com.
The truth is, viruses cannot be killed, and unlike bacteria, viruses are not alive. A virus is what we call a biologic entity, but we can still do something. We can destroy a virus or even keep it from being able to launch its attack on our bodies before, during, and after exposure. And this is why you need to get the kit. Our winter survival kit. Your body can protect you from these infectious bugs, but it needs a little help building up its immune defenses. And the best offense is a great defense. And that's why you need the kit. It's a perfect strategy for every infectious bug, as well as those non-living, can't-kill viruses. Our winter survival kit is a must for your home or workplace. It contains targeted nutritional components that can get the job done before, during, and after any infectious exposure. So get the kit. For details, call our Health Quest radio hotline, 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. It's Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, with my current want list for upcoming auctions. Guns and military items are always at the top of my list, but I have buyers for vintage automobiles and motorcycles, old gas pumps and automotive signs. Do you have pinball machines and coin-operated games like slot machines, jukeboxes? How about Coke machines and soda machines? Also, neon signs, antique phonographs and music boxes, old toys, especially science fiction and Star Wars. Cowboy and Native American collections like barbershop, ice cream parlor, and saloon items. We'll take one item or an entire collection. We sell it all. Call me before you sell your items outright, because you could be leaving a fortune on the table. And you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at DonnellyAuctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your collections, so call me at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
'Tis the season. For something fun to do with your crew, load them into the family truckster and head to Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove, where there are 2 separate light shows for families to experience and love. The Gobert's Christmas Drive-Thru Light Show is open now and sure to dazzle. A perfect outing for friends, family, or a cool date night. Take in the wonder of it all. Watch the lights blink and dance to choreographed music while you drive through the path. Dancing penguins, falling snowflakes, reindeer running through the field, a tunnel of lights, and more kick off your perfect Christmas adventure. The Larson Christmas Light Show you know and love from Campton Hills is on the Gobert's Farm. Enjoy 30 minutes of spectacular lights, special effects, and surprise character appearances. Enjoy both Christmas light shows in one night. Pricing for both shows is per vehicle, and online tickets are required. All forms of transportation are welcome, including limos and party buses. Tickets, pricing, and hours are online at Goberts.com. Enjoy the holidays at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove, Illinois.
We live in a high-tech world, yet nature is so complex that it's impossible for humans to even come close to duplicating it with all the technology in the world. Witness the spectacular things we see in nature and how they should inform one's faith in the latest book by Jeff Tischler, High Tech versus the Highest Tech. This 78-page paperback book is a must-read, packed with fascinating facts and colorful illustrations, laying out undeniable evidence for intelligent design and an all-powerful creator. And High Tech versus the Highest Tech is written in a way that all age groups can understand and enjoy. Get the book High Tech versus the Highest Tech by Jeff Tischler, offered through Milk and Honey Ministries for just $9.95, plus shipping and handling, with 100% of the proceeds going to missions. And for a limited time, $1 from each book sold goes directly to Food for the Poor. Order your copy today. Call toll-free 1-800-733-9262. Also available from Google Books or your favorite online bookseller. Special rates available for schools, churches, and mission outreach.
Do you have a home remodeling project you'd love to get done? This is your opportunity to lock in this year's pricing with Chicago's Design Build Dream Team. Forever Remodeling is now offering exceptional savings. Simply sign on by December 31st to avoid any price increases next year. At Forever Remodeling, their expert designers and installers will turn your dreams into reality. Act now and you'll not only protect yourself from future price increases, but also beat the rush and secure a preferred spot in their schedule. Call 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. Highly skilled to design and build.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. You sort of expected that a state Supreme Court in some blue state was going to be the Alvin Bragg of state Supreme Courts. And yesterday, Colorado State Supreme Court decided that it would be the Alvin Bragg of state Supreme Courts, get their pictures in the paper, get the plaudits from their Democrat socialist colleagues, because, of course, all 7 justices on the Colorado Supreme Court have been appointed by Dem governors. That's just a note there. And that's important. We'll get to it in a second. But ultimately, Trump thrown off the ballot in the state of Colorado because he participated in insurrection, and he is barred for running for president under the disqualification clause in the 14th Amendment. So says the Colorado State Supreme Court. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line to get your reactions.
Yeah, should we be concerned? Because, I mean, this is obviously going to make it up to the U.S. Supreme Court. But will it be overturned? Is this the beginning of the end?
The beginning of the end of what?
Of Trump.
No.
Because that's what the mainstream media is saying. Oh, he should be very concerned.
So the Colorado State Supreme Court stayed their own decision until January 4th to give time for appeals. The primary is March 5th in the state of Colorado. It will likely be fast-tracked to the Supreme Court because of that time frame, and because, as you're sort of alluding to, this contradicts decisions made by other courts in other states on the same issue, the same argument in complaint form, Article 3, Article 14, 14th Amendment, Section 3, the disqualification clause. And in Michigan and Minnesota, they came to different conclusions. The courts of law came to different conclusions there, allowing Trump to stay on the ballot. So this is an outlier, and the Supreme Court is going to have to adjudicate it. Here was law professor Jonathan Turley, George Washington University, reacting to it last night on Kayleigh McEnany's program, or as she was manning the news desk. And he described it as one of the most anti-small d Democratic decisions he's ever seen.
They had to adopt the most sweeping interpretation on every single issue in order to get where they wanted to go. The only part of the opinion that is not sweeping and broad is when they get to the First Amendment and free speech. Then they adopt a narrow interpretation. They suggest that Trump doesn't have free speech protections. But in order to establish that he committed or was engaged in insurrection, they go back to speeches in 2016. And they basically daisy chain these speeches to say, look, he's been at this for a long time. I think that the factual and legal basis of this opinion is really so porous that the Supreme Court will make fast work of it.
The initial point he made about how they had to offer sweeping interpretations of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment while offering a very narrow interpretation of the First Amendment. It was a really good point. And what he's talking about there, if you read Section 3, the disqualification clause, it is unclear, and legal scholars debate whether Section 3 applies to the President of the United States. It is also unclear, and legal scholars debate, whether it's self-executing. But they had to take sweeping interpretations of the language in Section 3 while taking a very narrow view of Trump's First Amendment rights, particularly in the context of what happened on January 6th, where in his speech he explicitly said to, protest peacefully, as we all know at this juncture. So it's really a rather breathtaking decision. But here's some good news of sorts. I think there's a couple of layers of good news here. Well, number one, I think it's going to help Trump politically. And it may even throw Colorado in play. You want to talk about animating your base, tell them they don't get to vote for the guy they want to vote for. We'll see. And also maybe some fair-minded people in the middle who don't believe that the ends justify the means. But also, Turley makes the additional point that, again, the decision was 4-3. And as I mentioned, all 7 justices on the Colorado State Supreme Court were appointed by Democrats. And in states like Michigan and Minnesota that have rejected this argument, it was some Democrat judges rejecting that argument too. So
we've never needed the democratic process more. We need voters to be able to make a decision, because at some point we've got to come back together. And I'll note, there were 4 justices here that they finally found a majority to accept this dangerous theory. But there were 3 Democrats on the other side that refused to sign off. And some of those judges in other states that have rejected this theory, they're also Democrats. And they didn't do it because they had affinity for Donald Trump. They did it because they had affinity for the Constitution. And I'm hoping that we'll see that same profile of courage on the U.S. Supreme Court, because we need to speak as one voice right now and to say that what the Colorado Supreme Court did is wrong. This is not what we're about.
Well, I mean, it's an actual attack on our democracy, don't you think? And
Well,
I agree with you. Colorado is going to be big time in play because of this move.
Well, it's quite interesting to see reviews coming in from around the world. The president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele,
Love that.
the United States has lost its ability to lecture any other country about democracy. Boy, when you're getting criticized by El Salvador, we no longer look to the United States as a representative form of representative government. That says something. By the way, to Turley's point about judges with no particular affinity for Donald Trump making the right call here, the obvious call, but not willing to disgrace themselves like those 4 justices on the Colorado State Supreme Court in furtherance of politics and in contravention of constitutional law. John Bolton on CNN. John Bolton, not a Trump fan, as you know, and we've gotten into rows on this show. Always substantive. It's fine. Bolton is also a Yale law grad. Maybe some people didn't know that. So he has a bit of a legal background. He practiced once upon a time. Here's what he said on CNN.
I think it's completely misplaced. I think this Colorado Supreme Court decision is badly wrong for multiple reasons. Number one, the 14th Amendment provides that Congress can pass legislation to carry its provisions into effect, which Congress has done on many aspects. It has not put anything with respect to Section 3 on the books since just after the Civil War. Second, the idea that 50 different state courts can decide a question involving the highest elective office in the executive branch, interpreting the federal Constitution as to what constitutes an insurrection against the federal government is incoherent. And I think undoubtedly the Supreme Court's going to have to clear that up. In terms of what the framers of the 14th Amendment meant, I think it's quite clear that the radical Republicans in Congress who wanted to suppress the secessionist advocates and governments of the southern states that succeeded would not provide, on this critical question of the offices that are going to be denied to people who broke their oath to the United States, that you're going to put decision-making authority on that in the hands of the states, including the former secessionist states. That, if that was their intention, they were delusional when they did it. So I'd be willing to bet a small amount of money here that the Supreme Court, if it gets to the merits of this, if it has to, will reverse. There's no other logical way you can apply this, and it would sow chaos in elections as far as the eye could see.
Wow.
And after he got done with that riff, that Klingon who works for CNN named Caitlin Collins, she was completely befuddled. She didn't know what to say. John Bolton wasn't reading from her script. It was a very sad moment for her.
You mean the Dylan Mulvaney lookalike? She looks like Dylan Mulvaney. Sorry.
The point that Bolton is making, too, about sowing chaos, Turley referenced it as well. So what does this do? Oh, I see. Do you want to play this game? So in red states, then, we should have electors, like in Colorado, file suit in courts where we've got Republican-appointed judges or in Republican-controlled state Supreme Courts. And we should accuse Joe Biden of insurrection for failing to secure the southern border, for example, and sowing chaos in the country, purposely abdicating the federal government's responsibility to provide for border security and national security by extension, and that is a slow-motion insurrection. Actually, It's not that slow motion. So, and all we need to do is have a state Supreme Court that's controlled by Republicans agree with us, and then Joe Biden's off the ballot in that state. Is that what you want to do? Go back and forth based on political arguments? When, by the way, Trump has not been convicted of anything related to an insurrection. He's not even charged with aiding and with instigating an insurrection.
But just think for a second. I mean, can you imagine if you lived in Colorado and you're kind of on the fence about Trump? I'd be all in, head first, for President Trump for the election. You're going to have your state Supreme Court decide who you can and can't vote for. They're not even giving you a choice. And I love what Vivek Ramaswamy said, but we'll get to it later.
We'll get to that.
But you know who else who spoke out? Our Governor Lizzo. Oh, he's brimming. Oh, he's so happy about this.
He used the word vermin just recently to describe who he was targeting. As one of the leading Jewish governors in the country.
We'll clean that up. That's not the soundbite. But he was on MSNBC celebrating, saying that this isn't leadership. This man is a threat to our democracy.
Yeah, the usual. All right. We'll get more reactions from the political world, and we'll take your calls on the topic at 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
5:30 on AM 560, The Answer. It's 30 degrees this morning. And topping our news, Israeli forces are battling Hamas militants on the streets of Gaza today as the UN delays another vote to try and increase humanitarian aid to the region. Fox's Trey Yingst with the very latest from southern Israel.
Reportedly went to Israel to wrap up this phase of the war by the end of the year. The Biden administration hopeful that a new lower intensity phase in the fighting could allow more humanitarian supplies to enter the Gaza Strip. In newly obtained video, Palestinians desperately surrounding an aid truck in central Gaza. The scene illustrates how hungry the civilian population has become. The majority of Gazans do not have enough food and are forced to skip meals, according to the UN's World Food Program. The new report raises questions about who will control government aspects of life in Gaza once Hamas leadership is taken out.
Hamas terror group spokesman claimed 20,000 Palestinians have been killed since they started the war with Israel, but that number cannot be substantiated. Former President Trump says the decision of the Colorado Supreme Court to ban him from the state's 2024 presidential ballot is a completely flawed decision. The court said Tuesday he violated the 14th Amendment's insurrectionist ban. Trump said he will swiftly file an appeal. Meantime, Trump on the stump in Iowa says recent poll results there doesn't mean the race is over.
It's a race. It's a race until they quit. As Yogi Berra said, it ain't over till it's over, right? So, I don't really like to say anything's over. I've seen too many things happen in my life. I've watched many things that are over, and they turn out not to be over.
Meantime, Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley gaining momentum in the early voting state of New Hampshire. Recent CBS YouGov poll shows Trump is favored in the Granite State, 44%, while Haley is now up to 30%. An appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court by Mexico's president says his government is preparing to challenge a new Texas immigration law. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is backing the bill signed in Texas.
We know that hundreds of people on the terrorist watch list have been apprehended. That doesn't count all the people we don't catch. We know that sex offenders, rapists, murderers have crossed the border, and Biden does nothing. He puts our lives at risk.
The bill signed into law by the Texas governor allows local officers to arrest anyone who they believe entered the country illegally. And this is a story we'll watch carefully over the next 12 months. Many states that stockpiled millions of masks and other personal protective equipment paid for with your taxpayer dollars during the coronavirus pandemic are now throwing those items away. At least 15 states now have trashed PPE items because they are expiring or they have more than they need. Other states have sold extra material at bargain prices or have tried to give away the surplus but have difficulty finding entities willing to take the PPE. It's been 6 months since the Gage Park Fieldhouse was converted into a migrant shelter, and last night, residents demanded it be shut down.
No one here has been happy to see what's going on in our community. I see people smoking weed all the time. At my job, when I get off the pink line, I see a whole gang of them just smoking, and it's like, if you're really suffering through poverty, where are you getting money from to afford weed?
Around 400 people are living at the Gage Park Fieldhouse, which 15th Ward Alderman Ray Lopez said is far more than promised.
It had to be temporary, had to be safe, and had to be healthy. And there are some issues that the community has raised over the past several months with regards to some of the aspects of that, particularly the activity and the loitering and the prostitution and things that we've seen in the community stemming from this shelter.
The Chicago man whose murder conviction was recently overturned is free after spending more than 12 years behind bars.
It ain't registered yet. It's going to hit me, though. When it hit me, I'm going to be happy. I lost a lot. I lost all my friends. I lost a lot of things. I lost things I could never get back. No amount of money can repay the time that I lost.
Darian Harris was freed from the Cook County Jail last night after prosecutors decided not to retry him in a deadly shooting tied to a Southside gas station in 2011. AM 560 News Time is 5:34. The news, a service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560 The Answer. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
This is Mark Curran. For over 30 years as a prosecutor and a sheriff, I've spent my entire career fighting for the injured and most vulnerable. And I continue those efforts now as a trial lawyer. Many of the lawyers I face in the courtroom today are on the side of the abortion industry, as well as many other intrinsic evils. Martindale-Hubbell, the agency that rates attorneys, has given me the highest rating for both ethics and ability. I'm a former county, state, and federal prosecutor, as well as a 3-term sheriff. I'm also the host of the popular program Cross-Examination on Catholic Radio. If you want a trial lawyer with the highest credentials and ability who will not support the evil agenda destroying America, then call me at 847-721-3189 or go to markcurranlaw.com. That's Mark Curran, C-U-R-R-A-N, law.com.
The holiday season is right around the corner. Give the gift that's hard to wrap, but easy to give. Give them a Steel. Visit your local Steel dealer or go to steelusa.com/gift guide.
5:37. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and we'll start in Linwood this morning. Accident reported at Torrance and 198th. Watch out for the intersection being tied up. And delays already showing up on the Bishop Ford inbound between 111th and the Ryan Merge. The Ryan South End already jammed up as you travel from 95th up to the Stevenson. It's 15 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Milder today, clouds and sun at a high of 42. Clouding up overnight, 32. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, high 43. Currently 30 degrees. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
For armed or unarmed security, average isn't good enough. You deserve more. You need more.
Morrison means more.
Morrison Security. More deterrence and prevention with customized programs that fit your budget. Cost-effective, sensible solutions for all businesses and facilities.
Morrison means more.
More peace of mind, knowing your security guards are well-trained professionals with a track record of getting results and serving exactly your needs. Morrison Security personnel are constantly trained for readiness and are prepared for any given situation that can occur at a job site.
Morrison means more.
More reliability of management for quick and effective solutions at your property. Morrison Security is responsive. They're always available to you.
Morrison means more.
More awareness of any challenges you face with protecting people, property, and assets. For armed and unarmed security, don't settle for substandard or average. Security is too important. Contact them and find out how you can get more. MorrisonSecurity.com. MorrisonSecurity.com.
Morrison means more.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy talking about the news out late yesterday that Colorado State Supreme Court, in a 4-3 decision, removed President Trump from its March 5th primary ballot, pending appeals, of course. And the reaction was swift, as you'd expect, given the paucity of legal substance behind the ruling. I'm going to go back to something you said, Amy, before we went to Mike Scott for the news, which is how if you're leaning on the fence, this just says, you know what, enough is enough. I'm all in with Trump. Whatever qualms I have about Trump, I'm going with him as a message-sending vehicle to the political ruling class. I think that's a real thing. I think that is why he's going to benefit from this decision, even if it is swiftly overturned by the Supreme Court. And it just reminds everyone, if you didn't need reminding, that, as I keep saying, this is an ends justify the means political ruling class, and it does not end with a free society standing. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
Every Republican voter in that state just got disenfranchised. Every reporter or Republican got a slap in the face.
Well,
and the fact that some Democrats in the mainstream media are celebrating this bothers me. They're like, we predicted this was going to happen.
I don't think that there's even many DeSantis, Haley, Ramaswamy voters that want Trump removed from the ballot. They may not want him to be the nominee, but I don't think that...
Don't you think Chris Christie's waking up going like happy this morning? But he's a different
irrelevant.
beast.
I'm talking about the actual Republican candidates, not just somebody who's playing a role to sell books and secure his spot on a Sunday news roundtable. I'm talking about real Republicans that are running for president. I don't think their supporters think this is fair play either. I mean, it's going to be unfortunate for them because this is going to provide yet another injection of enthusiasm behind Trump in the 3 weeks we have before the Iowa caucus. But I don't think they're cheerleading this for their own immediate electoral interests, but also just in the sense of this is what you're dealing with. And even if I don't like Trump, if he is indeed the nominee, man, we got to get behind this guy as the means to stop what is afoot with all of these new Marxists at both the federal and state levels. I mean, this kind of government action cannot stand, as Jonathan Turley was saying so eloquently. He compared it He compared this decision to Iran, where they select the acceptable opposition for the electorate to consider.
The DNC's gone full fascist.
I'll take some of your calls. By the way, there's a good saying. Nick Cass reminded me of it. John Cass's brother, who was a lifelong intel officer, Foreign Service official, is something that's out of the Turks, and it translates into "for the people, in spite of the people, as long as it takes." And that's sort of the philosophy of the Democrat Socialists. Because the save our democracy, protect our democracy. Yeah. We're going to save the democracy from the people in spite of you. We're going to save our democracy in spite of you, and we're going to do it for as long as it takes. We're going to keep saving it in spite of you.
My blood's boiling. Waking up to this, not fun.
Chris and Carrie are on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, guys. This is a rhetorical question, obviously, but what is so wrong with letting the voters decide? I mean,
they may make the wrong decision.
Everyone's acting like petulant babies here.
We're all in kindergarten now.
And, we talk about the unintended consequences and slippery slopes. This is intended consequences, and all we're going to get is tit for tat going forward. I mean, they better be careful what they're asking for, because their loose interpretations of the law and the Constitution are going to lead us down a road where all we're going to do is find ourselves in courts endlessly and changing everything except giving it to the will of the people. We're going to decide it, let our leaders decide everything.
Thanks for the call, Chris. Well, they better be careful what they're wishing for. We've been saying that since Trump's election in 2016 in response to their conduct. And in 2018 and 2020 and 2022, it didn't seem like the reckoning came to end these authoritarian gambits, did it? So here again, 2024, with essentially the principal instigator on the ballot, ostensibly he'll be on the ballot. Boy, this is sort of a last stand moment. I hate it's always a last stand moment. Every election is the most important, and it's always the last stand. But given everything that's transpired over the last 8 years going into next year, it seems different.
We would never see this in our lifetime. We couldn't even predict this. And over the past 5 months, I mean, President Trump has been charged with 4 criminal cases. I thought that was unprecedented. And now this.
We just continue to see things that are unprecedented.
Mm-hmm.
Mark's outside.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Before you took my call, Dan, you already answered what I was going to ask you about. Trump is going to be able to flip the Democratic narrative and talking point that democracy is on the ballot. You're 100% right. And I think now it's the only thing left for the Democrats to run on is abortion.
Thanks for the call, Mark. Well, Trump was in Waterloo, Iowa, that is, last night, said this.
It's no wonder crooked Joe Biden and the far-left lunatics are desperate to stop us by any means necessary. They are willing to violate the U.S. Constitution at levels never seen before in order to win this election. Joe Biden is a threat to democracy. It's a threat. They're weaponizing law enforcement for high-level election interference because we're beating them so badly in the polls.
So, to Mark's point about flipping that to save our democracy, who's a threat to our democracy script? Joe in Naperville.
Yeah, 3 quick points. No one's been charged with insurrection, not Trump or anybody else. Number 2, Trump should have a rally tomorrow in Denver.
Yep.
And number 3, you know what? The slippery slope has already been gone down. The aggressors always set the rules. And if they want to play that, we need to start having civil suits against our governor, Mayorkas, and everybody else for the illegals coming in. We need to have Vinkman arrested and tried for insurrection for what he did. Everybody with the January 6th committee, everybody with the Russian collusion, everybody that had their fingers on trying to overturn Trump needs to be held accountable. Unless we do that, this is not going to stop.
Thanks, Joe. I mean, there have been Jan 6ers, some charged, like some Proud Boys charged with seditious conspiracy, but that still doesn't implicate Trump, who is not charged with seditious conspiracy. And so, first of all, even if he had been charged, the case still obviously wouldn't have been adjudicated before the Colorado Supreme Court's decision yesterday. So they're drawing their independent conclusion based on the facts, not based on anything that's transpired in a court of law, or even has been alleged in a court of law, which is among the many problems with the Supreme Court's decision in Colorado, as we articulated. Rich, Indiana Head Park.
Yes, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. This is probably one of the biggest forms of voter fraud that I've ever heard. This is only short of them having the people vote for Trump and then taking all of Trump's vote and throwing them out. That's exactly what this seems like.
Thanks, Rich.
Got a great text message. Dan and Amy, for those that scream and yell that, excuse me, Trump will end democracy, this Colorado court just ended democracy for American voters.
Well, at least Colorado voters. Here was Senator J.D. Vance with a immediate reaction last evening.
It's an effort to stop Donald Trump not at the ballot box, because right now they don't think they can beat Donald Trump at the ballot box, but to use lawfare, to use the legal process as a political weapon to take rights away from American voters. I will repeat this again and again. This is not just about Donald Trump. This is about millions of American voters who are being told by judges in Colorado, you don't get to vote for the candidate that you would like to vote for. How is that democracy? And how is this in any way consistent with the howls of Republicans allegedly being a threat to democracy, and then left-wing judges are telling Americans you don't get to vote for the candidate that you want to vote for? It's preposterous, Kaylee. Here's another thing, and just to make a political point, you've had brilliant legal analysts. The question, I think, for Republican voters is, do we let left-wing radicals choose our nominee? They are staring us in the face saying, we dare you to select Donald Trump as your nominee. I think we take that bet and we go with the guy who's showing that he's not controlled opposition. If we are letting these people select our nominee for us, what good are we as a party? There are some great people running, but this is now, to me, an assault not just on one man, but on the Republican Party's ability to select its nominee for the general election.
It's an interesting perspective. It's one that one of Trump's opponents shares. Vivek Ramaswamy offered this pledge and challenged his competitors last night after the decision came down in Colorado.
That's why I'm making a pledge today that I will withdraw. I pledge to withdraw from the Colorado GOP primary ballot unless and until Trump's name is restored. And I demand that Ron DeSantis and Chris Christie and Nikki Haley do the same thing, or else these Republicans are simply complicit in this unconstitutional attack on the way we conduct our constitutional republic. And I demand that Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley and Chris Christie do the same thing, or else they're complicit in what this security state is trying to do to shut down Trump. I stand by that, and I expect them to do the right thing.
Yeah. Any response this morning for Haley or from DeSantis? Or
I haven't seen it yet, but what do you think about the idea that everybody gets together and says, okay, well, then take my name off the ballot, too?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636. Excuse me. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Glenn in Oak Brook.
Good morning. I agree with Vivek that everybody should, in the Republican side, should be off the ballot in Colorado. I think that every Republican in Colorado should go out and buy a Trump for president stamp to put on the ballot as a write-in, and because you can write him in if he's not on any ballot. And basically, this is really outrageous. This when I saw this, I was extremely upset to see this. So I'm now 100% in Trump's court.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
Well, I mean, again, that's what it does. Look, I've have my issues with Trump and have since the beginning. He's a guy who likes celebrities and sycophants, and I'm neither. But his presidency was surprisingly productive on policy. He was surprisingly loyal to the things that he said he would do or attempt to do. And the need for the repudiation of what is being done to him by mediating institutions in this country is so great. It just dwarfs any other concern. You have got to stop these illiberal illiberal Marxists running around calling themselves the Democrat Party in 2023 America. They have to be stopped. Joe in Hoffman Estates.
Hey, good morning. The Supreme Court works kind of slow.
Not
How
always.
long would it take? You think something like this would move along pretty quickly?
This is gonna get to the Supreme Court straight away. Yes.
That's good because Trump needs to know whether he's going to dump money into Colorado or not. So.
No. This will be this. Thanks for the call, Joe.
How
This is
soon?
going. This is going to move straight away. I mean, this could be before the court, right after Christmas. I wouldn't be surprised.
Is there any chance
Or-
it's before Christmas? Because I'm a professional worrier, Dan, and I don't like to ruin the
I
holiday.
mean, Christmas is Monday,
All right,
so
well.
I would say next week. But and again, the stay was to January 4th for that reason. The stay of the opinion for that reason. The Colorado Supreme Court has a pretty good idea this is going to be appealed and it's going to go all the way up. They're aware of the decisions courts have made in Minnesota and Michigan, for example, as well as the the stones that it took to issue the decision that they did with the flimsy legal argument they offered. But anyway, the flip side is Trump could say, I don't need Colorado. Okay, fine. This is 50 laboratories of democracy. This is when Democrats are in charge and they rule the roost, this is what you see in Colorado. Go ahead. You know what? Illinois, California, you can take me off the ballot too if you want. Why don't you just show everybody who you are? That could be a moment. I mean, it's probably better long term to get this remedied by the Supreme Court straight away, but it would be tempting to let them have Colorado until Colorado can get its act together and elect better people at the state level, who appoint better people to the Supreme Court, who have some gosh darn respect for the rule of law and for the United States Constitution, for starters. I don't know. Carl in Barrington.
Yes, good morning. I think what will really be revealing is that if it does go to the Supreme Court and the decision is not 9-0, if it's a 6-3 decision, that's going to really tell us something.
Yeah, I think it's going to tell us something about any justice who dissents in the majority decision to overturn the Colorado Supreme Court's decision. Yes. Yeah, we'll be telling. I wouldn't be surprised here, and again, Jonathan Turley made the point. 3 Democrats on the Colorado State Supreme Court rejected this argument. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 9-0. I mean, even the leftist justices on the Supreme Court have some notion of the tit for tat that this would create if it was allowed to stand, with Republicans doing the same thing, and you're going to have ballot fights up and down the ballot about who can and can't be on the ballot based on political conclusions about who is violative of the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment and who isn't.
And he was never charged with insurrection, let alone convicted. So,
Jim in Rockford.
Yes, isn't this also a form of voter suppression? Because if you think of the Republicans, if Vivek and everyone takes their name off of the ballot, that means that all we could vote for here in Illinois, if Illinois did the same thing, all we could vote for is a Democrat.
Thanks for the call, Jim. Yeah, I mean, I would say it's voter interference. I don't know if it's voter suppression, because I think this is like a GOTV decision. I think this helps get out the vote for Republicans, this Colorado State Supreme Court decision. Maybe not in Colorado if it were to stand, of course, but the rest of the country. But I take your point.
I have a question for you on our text line, Dan and Amy, but I'm going to give you this question, Dan. If any state withdraws from a federal election, does that trigger a collapse of the Electoral College vote?
No, but if I reject the premise that a state can withdraw from a federal election.
They're just kicking a person off the ballot. They're not letting them get on the ballot.
Yeah, but they're not withdrawing from a
Right,
federal
no,
election. They're still having other presidential, ostensibly, if this stood, and other presidential candidates, other candidates for federal offices at the state level. No. Antonio in Bolingbrook.
Good morning, guys. Here, Republican Chair, DuPage Township. Page 9 of the PDF, their own order, they wrote their own stay. All Donald Trump has to do is appeal to the Supreme Court. As long as he's appealing, the Secretary of State of the state of Colorado, this is on page 9, everybody can read this order, has to keep Trump's name on the ballot. Meaning, yeah, they said he should be off the ballot, but at the same time, they're too cute by half. That's how liberals are. They know they're going to start a real insurrection if they do things like this. Meaning, all he's got to do is appeal, and the Secretary of State has to keep his name on the ballot while the appeal's being heard. If it's ever heard, if it's not heard, doesn't matter. So they
Yes.
get that part of it.
Yes, thanks for the call, Antonio. Yes, that's the January 4th stay that we mentioned. You have until January 4th to appeal, and of course it would be the decision stayed pending the outcome of the appeal, and I think the Supreme Court will act swiftly when, I believe, the appeal is filed. So that's where that's at. All right, coming up at 6:06 as we end 2023, another most violent year in Chicago. 6:06.
And what really happened? How did that 5-year-old boy from Venezuela die? But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
The mayor's office releases more information about that migrant boy who died at a shelter. Chicago man whose murder conviction was overturned has been freed. 3 are hurt after a major fire at a public housing project on Chicago's north side. WIND Chicago News Time, 6.
Was January 6th an insurrection? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Colorado Supreme Court says yes. Not only that, President Trump was part of it that day, so that means the former president cannot be on the state's 2024 presidential primary ballot.
The decision was 4-3, saying former President Trump is disqualified under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. The court's majority opinion says it would be a wrongful act under the election code to list Trump as the candidate.
Fox's Cordell Scott, the former president's legal team, calls it deeply undemocratic, vowing to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. Some of the Trump Republican challengers also think the ruling went too far. Chris Christie, who's a big Trump critic, says,
I do not believe Donald Trump should be prevented from being president of the United States by any court. I think he should be prevented from being president of the United States by the voters of this country.
Well, the former president did not bring up the Colorado ruling at a rally in Iowa last night. He did once again vow if elected, he would
stop the invasion on our southern border and begin the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. We have no choice.
He also again claimed the migrants coming here illegally in record numbers are destroying the blood of our country. And to his critics who say that's Nazi Germany language, the former president said he's never read Mein Kampf, Hitler's manifesto. Civil rights groups in Texas have sued to block the state's new law as unconstitutional before taking effect in March, making it a crime to cross the border illegally, allowing police to arrest migrants and judges deport them. The UN Security Council keeps working on a twice-delayed vote to again call on a resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza, trying to get the U.S. not to veto it like last time. Fox's Trey Ingston in Israel reports there's viral video.
Palestinians desperately surrounding an aid truck in central Gaza. The scene illustrates how hungry the civilian population has become. The majority of Gazans do not have enough food and are forced to skip meals, according to the UN's World Food Program.
America's listening to Fox News.
.30 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560 The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. It's been 6 months since the Gage Park Fieldhouse was converted into a migrant shelter. Last night, residents demanded that it be shut down.
Happy to see what's going on in our community. I see people smoking weed all the time. At my job, when I get off the pink line, I see a whole gang of them just smoking, and it's like, if you're really suffering through poverty, where are you getting money from to afford weed?
The migrants' health at that shelter and others has been a major concern for aldermen like Ray Lopez.
He actually went to a school in the 15th Ward, so I do have a connection to this young man, and it raises a lot of alarms for me to hear that people are basically living in squalor.
And the mayor's top migrant official, Beatrice Ponce de Leon, did not have good answers for taxpayers.
We are aware, we are engaged in building community safety plans at a regional level for shelters within a certain area of the city.
Mayor Brandon Johnson's office is also scrambling to provide more details about the 5-year-old boy who died at a Pilsen migrant shelter. Child suffered a medical emergency, according to the mayor's office on Sunday. The boy doesn't appear to have died from an infectious disease, but a cause is still being investigated. A Chicago man whose murder conviction was recently overturned is free after spending more than 12 years behind bars.
It ain't registered yet. It's gonna hit me though. When it hit me, I'm gonna be happy. I lost a lot. I lost all my friends. I lost a lot of things. I lost things I could never get back. No amount of money can repay the time that I lost.
Darian Harris freed from Cook County Jail last night after prosecutors decided not to retry him in a deadly shooting at a Southside gas station in 2011. As Illinois continues to deal with an opioid and fentanyl crisis, several new laws are set to go on the books to address the problems. One measure allows pharmacies and public health departments to have testing strips available. State Rep Jeff Kiker says the strips will save lives.
We look at fentanyl, we look at the damage that it's doing not only to our state but our nation, and the expediency with which we need to make sure the tools are available that we can solve the problem on the front end before we have deaths on the back end.
Another new law requires schools to keep opioid antigens on campus. Illinois has lost 549,000 people in the past decade when adding up the annual population estimates from the Census Bureau, and some are now looking for policy changes in Springfield to reverse the trend, including State Representative Lejeune Ford.
I think the governor should be looking at our border states, and he should be treating this like a business and be very competitive as relates to policies that compare to our border states.
The latest numbers released Tuesday show Illinois' 10th year in a row of annual losses. Blackhawks winners over Colorado last night, 3-2. Bulls take on the Lakers at the UC. And the news, a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Long day. Time to charge up.
Hey, just like my delivery truck.
Even kids know to keep business moving forward, it's time to make the switch to electric vehicles. Whether you have one van or a whole fleet of trucks, resources are available to help you make the changes that make sense.
Let's go.
Beep, beep.
Go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
Traveling for the holidays? Well, Pure Talk has you covered because they just added international roaming to over 30 countries. And here's the best part, there's no rate increase at all. Now, Pure Talk still saves the average family almost $1,000 a year with talk and text and data plans starting at just $20 a month. Now, from your cell phone, just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, make the switch, and do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Pound 250, keyword save now, and start saving on your wireless right now.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. If you're a dad who is facing divorce, there are extra layers of stress that may include stereotypes and assumptions. No two situations are the same. Our legal experience and dedication prepare us for whatever legal challenges we face together. You need a partner you can count on. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has represented men in divorce.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Springfield area attorneys. 2815 Old Jacksonville Road, Suite 103, Springfield, Illinois, 62704.
Hi, my name is Peg. I'm a wife, mother, and grandmother. I love being with family. We have so much fun doing things together, and that is really the priority of my life. Family is so important to me, and I want to stay healthy so that I can continue to do the things that I enjoy doing with all of them. I try and exercise and eat well, and balance of nature just helps me to put it all together and take me over the top. I really am happy that I came across it, and I've been taking it for probably 5 years, and I will continue to take it. I would recommend Balance of Nature. It's so easy to do every day. I feel great, and who doesn't want to feel great?
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus a free fiber and spice supplement as a preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. One major problem spot, Kennedy inbound, accident on the exit ramps on the ramp to Cumberland right now, and it is impacting the main line. 20 minutes in from inbound from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange and climbing on the inbound Kennedy this morning. Dan Ryan at 15 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Brake lights already flashing inbound at 43rd. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, times of clouds and sun. Our high today, 42. Becoming cloudy tonight, low 32. Clouds tomorrow, the high 43. Friday, cloudy with a bit of rain, the high at 43. Saturday, clouds and mild, high 47. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
30 degrees at O'Hare. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I see from the census that Illinois lost another 84,000 people last year, and so a lot of people are going to be calling someplace else their home in 2020, someplace other than Illinois, their home in 2024. Are you one of them? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. 10 consecutive years of population loss, but I know, don't tell that to Governor Jellybelly or the political ruling class in Illinois.
It's been 10 years straight of population loss, and he lies and says, "Oh no, everything's fine." But we even lost a congressional seat. But don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, Dan. He's got political aspirations to become president someday.
And one of the reasons they're leaving Chicago is crime. And this year, like last year, like the year before, and the year before that. And to me, this series that CWB Chicago's been doing for the last few years really puts a fine point on it. It's sort of like when we talk about border security and the inability of the federal government to expel people from our country who are here illegally and have committed a violent crime in addition to being here illegally. They can't even do that job. And you have grand hopes that they'll do all sorts of other things when it comes to border security, when it comes to immigration policy. Well, it's sort of the same thing here. A 16-year-old driving a stolen Kia shot and killed 2 people last week while he was awaiting trial for another stolen motor vehicle case. He is the 27th person accused of shooting, killing, or trying to shoot or kill someone in Chicago this year while awaiting trial for a felony. The cases involve at least 43 victims, 15 of whom died. This 16-year-old has been facing the felony stolen motor vehicle charge since March 10th. Boy, I mean, they can move Donald Trump to trial in 6 months, and they can't move this kid on a stolen motor vehicle charge to trial and adjudication in 8. 27th person accused of shooting, killing, or trying to shoot or kill someone in Chicago while awaiting trial for an unrelated felony. And so there again, if you don't have a criminal justice system that can stop this, then forget all of the big hopes you have for a criminal justice system to do all sorts of other things. It's also not going to do.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636, type in DA. Then a quick comment. Do you think things are going to get better when Kim Foxx leaves office?
No, because of the system. Now it's beyond a personnel problem. It's a system problem. And so what did we feature in 2023? The implementation of the Pritzker Purge Law. So it's going to get better? No, it's going to get worse. You're going to have more stories like this. Man released on 4th day of cashless bail, carjacked and robbed 2 men at gunpoint weeks later. Yeah. Of course. You're going to have more stories of people that were released who shouldn't have been, people that were like all these people that are out on electronic monitoring or just out and commit additional felonies, crimes that could have prevented, victimization that could have been prevented. It's not going to change because now you've made it a feature of the system rather than a bug. Allowing criminals, people accused of serious crimes that pose a threat to public safety, allowing them to be released on their own recognizance or even electronic monitoring, and we know the problems with electronic monitoring in Cook County.
Yeah, they get out. That 5 days in, then 48 hours to go do whatever you want.
Well, I mean, that's the Safety Act. But even before the Safety Act is my point. We knew the problems just in terms of the administration of it. You know, the general incompetence that afflicts Cook County government, all Cook County government, all state government. So that was before. And now you say, well, that was a bug in the system before. Now we made it a feature by just eliminating the retention of so many criminals under the color of law. So expect 2024 to be a most violent year, too. I mean, look who is in charge of the system that they created. And you expect anything to be different, which is, of course, why Illinois continues to be 1-2 in the nation in per capita outmigration. Why would that change? I mean, if you know this as well as I do, if you talk to people who are still there, they will almost universally talk about what their plan to get out is, even if they can't do it tomorrow or in 2024. They got a plan.
Yeah. Buying land in states they want to live in now and then sitting on it. And then when they sell their house, they're going to build. But now with selective enrollment going away, I mean, we have 5 years. We're on the clock. They're going to come up with a plan to dissolve it this summer. That's when they're going to release it, according to Pedro Martinez, our CEO of CPS. That's going to drive a lot of people out, too.
Yeah, so we know who's leaving and who they don't care about, whether you stay or go. And we know who's coming, and they don't care about when you get here, despite all of their lofty rhetoric to the contrary. And again, I'll tell you, boy, these Democrat Pauls running around wanting to charge Governors Abbott and DeSantis with kidnapping and human trafficking because they're providing transportation to people who voluntarily say they would like to go to New York or Chicago or wherever. What about if you want to do that, if you want to criminalize public policy decisions in that way, consequences of them, you want to attempt to do that. I don't think if Abbott and DeSantis were private citizens and they paid for the buses, that would you could never convict them in a court of law for human trafficking and kidnapping. So, but that's okay. So you want to criminalize public policy decisions? Okay. Well then, how about charging Brandon Johnson and the staffers at that Pilsen Migrant Center with negligent homicide and the death of that 5-year-old because they set up a camp that is unsanitary and where they know or should have known disease would spread, endangering a population of 2,300 people, half of whom are children. How about that?
And here's some people who are living there that were around the 5-year-old boy who died.
At the Halstead Migrant Shelter in Pilsen, one mother who asked not to be shown said her 3 children had not been seen by a doctor and that the food is so bad they come across the street to buy it from vendors. Another man who asked not to appear on camera out of fear he'd be kicked out of the shelter told me his family is staying in the same large room where the 5-year-old boy who died had been living. He told me many people around him are sick, including children. Medical volunteers have raised concerns about being denied access to the shelters.
And you mentioned yesterday, has the alderman or the mayor gone into these shelters to visit? Are you ready for this? That you have to put in a request, even as an alderman, and they have to give, it's a 48-hour process, 48-hour advance notice requirement for any alderperson waiting to inspect the shelter site.
Well, I don't care about the elder humans. I care about the mayor. It's his deal.
Right.
So
Walk in there.
Why is
Go
he in there? Also, this reported by the NPR Times.
He doesn't want to get sick.
2-year-old girl had a fever. They considered calling an ambulance, but were dissuaded by staff who said they would have to pay for it, according to the parents. Well, is that part of being a welcoming city? Is that part of the promise and the guarantees that are made rhetorically by these press release politicians?
And I love what Governor Abbott did. He signed that bill allowing local police to arrest migrants who come into the country illegally, and gives power to the judges to order them to leave the U.S. But of course, that's being, that's being
challenged by the ACLU. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the system that we have, the chaos that's been created. I mean, and again, people responding to incentives. Never once have I blamed migrants for trying to get to this country. We're not demonizing people who are coming to this country for a better life. We are demonizing people who come to this country to do harm to this country, because there's a lot of that too. And we are demonizing politicians who deserve to be demonized because they're doing things that are evil. And they're doing things dishonestly that are evil. I'm so compassionate. I care so much. I'm so empathetic. I'm for uplifting people of all races and religions. The huddled masses. No, you're not. You're a predator. You're preying on them with false promises. You're a huckster. And your hucksterism has lethal consequences, both people who've died at the border and people who are dying in your migrant camps in urban centers.
And just so you know, this is an ancillary issue, but I think people should know, because I talked to the spokesperson for the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office, and I'm waiting for more details today. She said that the 5-year-old Venezuelan boy, Lejeune Carlos Martinez, did not die from infectious disease. And she said
that's been reported, right?
I know, but that there's no outbreaks at the shelter right now, which is completely different from what the people who are living there say. But we'll find out, the exact cause of death soon.
Listen to this. This is a new one on this whole border security, immigration policy issue.
What?
Staging robberies to get a visa.
What?
There's a United States Citizenship and Immigration Service visa, a U visa, that's given to illegal undocumented immigrants who are helpful to law enforcement when a crime is committed. So here's what happened. Somebody set up a business, two individuals who have now been charged, committed 8 armed robberies of mini-marts and liquor stores this year. But they were all staged. In 8 cases, in all 8 cases, there was an illegal immigrant present, either working as a clerk in the store, either working present or working as a clerk in the store. And in 7 of the 8 cases, the immigrants applied for the U visa. So it turns out that these 2 guys charged people in this country illegally $10,000 to rob them. If you pay me $10,000 to rob you, the store will get $1,000 to $2,000 to act as the venues, the stage for the robbery. And then the 2 guys that get paid the $10,000 to be these phony robbers will contact lawyers to help the quote-unquote victims apply for their U visas. So the robbers got $500, and the stores got $1,000 to $2,000, and then it's distributed to the lawyers and so on and so forth. So this whole U visa scam, staging robberies so you can be a witness and a good person desiring to be a citizen, and this is your pathway to get a U visa to be able to stay legally.
I mean, it's sinister, but I give them an A+ for ingenuity. Wow.
They respond to the incentives that we present.
Yep.
And the border security we don't provide. Mike's outside.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. I'm just wondering why they can't go and dip into maybe Tom Dart's budget for some of the money that he shouldn't be using on deputies that he keeps when the jails are empty. Use his funding, but instead they're going to pay, former radio hosts, 6 figures to come in and do who God knows what. I don't understand what's going on over there.
He's in charge of the carjacking unit. Going very well.
Yeah. What's going on in the Cook County Sheriff's Office? I don't know. I think they've got a couple of dog pound rescues scheduled for the spring, so you can get some good press and you can pretend like you have a Cook County Sheriff's Office. I mean, again, the rank and file sheriff, I get it. Do what they can do under the leadership within the system. But the system is completely corrupt. The incentives are all perverse, and there is not any particular earnestness when it comes to protecting the law-abiding. It's a decision the decisions that come from the top. Tony, Kim Fox, the City Hall, 5th floor. It's nothing new here. Robert, Bloomingdale.
Hey, guys. It's disgusting. What they have to do, the state needs to get incentives for businesses to come to the state of Illinois, citizens to come to the state of Illinois, address the immigration problem that's in the Chicago area, and the governor needs to stop being delusional. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well, thanks for the call, Robert. Unfortunately, none of those things are going to happen. And by the way, the incentives, what would the incentives look like to come here? I mean, you're going to have to give everybody a $500 million in incentives to put up a EV plant in Manteno. I mean, EV battery plant. And that's only if you get Chinese communist backing as your partner. Right. I mean, the story I heard at the top of the hour, Mike Scott's newscast, LaShawn Ford talking about this. At least he recognizes there is this exodus from Illinois. The others are just telling you not to believe your lying eyes. But talking about, we need to look at what our other states around us are doing and why we're losing population and capital and business formation and expansion to other states. And yeah, I mean, that's great. I'm glad LaShawn is
slowly waking up.
Yeah, I mean, it took a decade.
You said 84,000 people left last year alone. So are we filling those seats with illegals?
I mean, you take a look at the city of Chicago and 25,000, is that the number? And more are coming?
Oh, more are coming. Did you see Eagle Pass yesterday? Holy shnikes. There's 30,000 people that live in that town. And the past 2 days, they've had close to 20,000 people enter.
Yeah.
Looked like a bad TSA line at the Denver airport. I mean, they were wrapped around that gate, and oh, my God.
Word gets around. Word gets around for people who want to come in, and word gets around for people like Illinois residents who want to leave and go somewhere else. Word of mouth, powerful force. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you saved enough? What are you going to do with Social Security? What will your taxes look like in retirement? Scott Tucker believes retirement planning should be easy, and you should be able to get all the information you need in one place. That's why Scott created the Retirement Decoded Toolkit, a comprehensive resource for your retirement. In it, you'll find a copy of his latest book, Escape Illinois: Should I Stay or Should I Go? This book will provide insight on taxes, Social Security, income, and more. To get your free Retirement Decoded Toolkit, text KIT, K-I-T, to 847-474-3888, or go to retirementdecoded.com. Now, in addition to the book, you'll also receive resources on retirement's most common concerns. Get your Retirement Decoded Toolkit from Scott Tucker right now by texting KIT to 847-474-3888, or go to retirementdecoded.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. A registered investment advisor, this is a paid placement.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com, and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Stop overpaying for wireless. There is a better way. Pure Talk saves the average family about $1,000 a year on the most dependable 5G network in the U.S. You can get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of high-speed data for just $30 a month. If you're ready to cut your wireless bill in half, dial pound 250 and say keyword spend less, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Again, dial pound 250 and say spend less, and make the switch to Pure Talk today.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
'Tis the season to think boating. Yes, Freedom Boat Club is the world's original and largest members-only boat club, now with 20-plus locations near you throughout greater Chicagoland, Wisconsin, Northwest Indiana, and Southwest Michigan. Plus 375 nationwide and global locations. Join Boat in Freedom's warm weather harbors now and think spring. Your membership enables access to their massive fleet of late model boats, slipped, insured, stored, maintained, cleaned, and ready for your use. Just pick the location of choice, reserve a boat, show up at the dock, and go boating. Membership includes training to enhance boating skills and comfort level at the helm. It's never been easier to give the gift of boating. Imagine the smile on the face of your loved ones when they realize they just became boaters. Joining is easy. Go to freedomboatclub.com. Find a location near you, zoom in on the map, and select the location that works best for you. That's freedomboatclub.com or call 888-781-7363. At Freedom Boat Club, boating season never ends. Merry Christmas.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, we'll talk to constitutional lawyer Ed Martin about both the Colorado State Supreme Court's decision removing Trump from its state ballot, as well as that Supreme Court case, which could have an impact on both Trump's case, J6 case, as well as the J6 cases of hundreds of others charged. That's all at 6:36.
But now, let's first stop by that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
This morning, we have 30 degrees in Chicago at 6:30. And this morning, Israeli forces are battling Hamas militants on the streets of Gaza today as the UN delays another vote to increase humanitarian aid to the region. Fox's Trey Yinks has the very latest on the war from southern Israel.
The United States reportedly wants Israel to wrap up this phase of the war by the end of the year. The Biden administration hopeful that a new lower intensity phase in the fighting could allow more humanitarian supplies to enter the Gaza Strip. In newly obtained video, Palestinians desperately surrounding an aid truck in central Gaza. The scene illustrates how hungry the civilian population has become. The majority of Gazans do not have enough food and are forced to skip meals, according to the UN's World Food Program. The new report raises questions about who will control government aspects of life in Gaza once Hamas leadership is taken out.
Also this morning, the former president, Donald Trump, says the decision of the Colorado Supreme Court to ban him from the state's 2024 presidential ballot is a completely flawed decision. Trump campaign members say they'll swiftly file an appeal. Meantime, Trump in Iowa says recent poll results there do not mean the race is over.
It's a race. It's a race until they quit. As Yogi Berra said, it ain't over till it's over, right? So, I don't really like to say anything's over. I've seen too many things happen in my life. I've watched many things that are over, and they turn out not to be over.
Mexico's president says his government is preparing to challenge a new Texas immigration law. The bill, which was signed into law by Texas Governor Greg Abbott, allows local officers to arrest anyone who they believe entered the country illegally. As Illinois continues to deal with an opioid and fentanyl crisis, several new laws are set to go on the books to address the problem. One measure allows pharmacies and public health departments to have testing strips available. State Representative Jeff Kiker says the strips could potentially be lifesavers.
We look at fentanyl, we look at the damage that it's doing not only to our state but our nation, and the expediency with which we need to make sure the tools are available that we can solve the problem on the front end before we have deaths on the back end.
Another law requires schools to keep opioid antigens on campus. Illinois has lost 549,000 people in the past decade when adding up the annual population estimates from the Census Bureau, and some are looking for policy changes in Springfield to try and reverse that trend, including State Representative Lejeune who says Democrat leaders need to recognize the problem and start to get competitive.
And then you look at property taxes. We're competing with border states that don't have the same level of tax levies as Illinois.
Since 2020, Missouri has gained 31,000, Indiana 27,000 residents, Kentucky 22,000. Illinois has lost 364,000 residents alone in the last 3 years. The Blackhawks' Tyler Johnson nets the game winner in the third, icing a win for the Blackhawks over Colorado 3-2. The Bulls will try to get a winning streak going when they host the LA Lakers at the United Center later tonight. 6:34, we'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2023 Food for the Poor campaign.
As many of you already know, Food for the Poor is a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
Right now, millions of families and children are experiencing the devastating effects of economic decline and rising food prices.
For many, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor and their partners who are providing life-saving food relief on the ground. But in order to get the food to those who need it, Food for the Poor needs your help. Thanks to a generous match, your one-time gift of just $80 can provide life-saving food for 2 children for an entire year.
To make that gift, just call 844-862-4673.
Visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner, and thank you so much for your generosity.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-299-7878. That's 800-299-7878. 800-299-7878.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. You have a true partnership with a team that is invested in your success. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Kevin Bastuga, co-founder of Signature Bank. There's no better place to be for the holidays than Chicago. Signature Bank is wishing you a safe, healthy, and happy holiday season.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality this holiday season. Visit signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The holiday season is right around the corner. Give the gift that's hard to wrap, but easy to give. Give them a Steel. Visit your local Steel dealer or go to steelusa.com/gift guide.
6:37. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that now in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, and we'll start on Metro, where we have delays this morning on the BNSF inbound to Union Station. Mechanical trouble on train 1212, so it is stopped due to mechanical trouble. And again, on the inbound side, service is disrupted. Route 53, accident on both shoulders. It's on the northbound side of 53. right at Kirchhoff. Stop-and-go traffic on the Bishop Ford inbound between Cottage Grove and the Dan Ryan Merge. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Later today, mostly sunny. Clouds on the increase as we head toward evening. We'll have a high of 43. Currently 30 degrees. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We have bigger cases than the contempt of Congress charge that Hunter Biden should be facing, but we're dealing with the same crew, so it's just a nice reminder of who exactly this crew is. Take a listen to this compilation of leading lights of the left when the issue was contempt of Congress charges against Steve Bannon or Peter Navarro for failing to comply with a subpoena from the J6 Star Chamber. In order, you'll hear from Pelosi, Raskin, Schiff, J6 Chairman Benny Thompson, Liz Cheney, Dan Goldman, and we'll close with our very own Adam Kinzinger.
Oh.
Do you think people who refuse to comply with congressional subpoenas should be prosecuted by the Justice Department and at the end of the day go to jail?
Yes.
If you act deliberately with sneering, cavalier contempt for the American people and their representatives, we will hold you in contempt. In America, when you are subpoenaed to testify in court or in Congress, you show up, period.
That if we fail to hold Steve Bannon accountable, that he will be the exception. He will become the rule. Either we are all equal before the law or none of us is. This is the essence of our democracy.
Either we're all in this together, either the rule of law applies to everyone equally, or we lose out on a fundamental aspect of our democracy, that the rule of law applies to everyone and no one is above that law.
Mr. Bannon stands alone in his complete defiance of our subpoena. That's not acceptable. No one in this country, no matter how wealthy or how powerful, is above the law.
And if he refuses the subpoena, like we expect him to continue to do, then we're left with no other choice than to ask the Justice Department, lock him up.
The plain fact here
Liz Cheney
is that Mr. Bannon has no legal right to ignore the committee's lawful subpoena.
If Steve Bannon is just going to flout his nose at a congressional subpoena and say that it doesn't apply to me, then he needs to be charged and he needs to be put in jail.
Mr. Bannon's willful disregard for the Select Committee subpoena demonstrates his utter contempt for the American people's vision that defies the rule of law and rejects the will of the American people.
We're serious about this. And anybody that is either being subpoenaed now or will be in the future, think twice before you reject a lawful order from Congress.
Have we heard from any of these luminaries on the Hunter Biden matter since he chose not to comply with the House Judiciary Committee subpoena, House Oversight Committee subpoena?
It's just strange because every time something happens that makes the Bidens look bad, something catastrophic or happens to President Trump. Timing is everything. So now this takes what happened in Colorado yesterday. He's getting kicked off the ballot. That trumps and draws everyone's attention away from Hunter Biden.
Well, that's the issue is the rule of law, constitutional and statutory. And for all those people who want to save our democracy by destroying confidence in the rule of law, I don't know how those two things can live together. For more on the topic, we're pleased to be joined by constitutional lawyer Ed Martin, who is also a J6 attorney. We'll talk to him about that, and a board member of Patriot Freedom Project. Ed Martin, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great to be with both of you, Dan and Amy. Thank you for the chance to talk. You're right on. I like the compilation a lot. I think it's helpful in the sense that it shows how hypocritical they are. For those of us that are close observers of politics, hypocrisy is not a distinguishing characteristic in elected officials. So I don't know, you kind of shake your head and then you move on to realizing the double standard. So it's troubling. But thank you for the chance to talk.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to drive it home, I think, that law enforcement is based on your political beliefs and nothing else, and based on your political beliefs, depending on who's in charge and nothing else. And that's not the rule of law. And if you don't have the rule of law, then you don't have a free society, as you well know. So, I mean, these things can just be, all politicians are hypocrites. Well, when somebody, is engaged in this sort of lawfare, some people have to comply with congressional subpoenas and some people don't. Some people have to comply with the Foreign Agent Registration Act and some people don't. And it's just about who's in charge as it pertains to who is forced to comply. That's a big problem, and I think, unfortunately, we're a little cavalier about that, even some of us conservatives.
Yeah, no, I agree, Dan. What I think is stunning about what's happening now is just what you said, and that the lawyers and the judges are complicit in this. It's one thing for politicians to make arguments, to say things to the cameras or to the microphones. It's another thing when the courts continually actually use their power. The Colorado decision, there's nobody serious that thinks that was well done. It was a pure political play by the judges, like up in New York, the judge that's got the Trump case on this valuation. It's very and we used to have a system. I would tell people the crown jewel of America is our Constitution and the rule of law, and then the values that we have to honor them. And we're watching this thing just be gutted by pure power and more importantly, brazen. They're not even hiding it. They're just saying, we don't care what you think. We're going to do this to Bannon, but not to Biden. We're going to do this to Trump, but not to President Biden, one after another. And it's as you point out, it's bad enough in the politics of today. That's bad, and it's bad policy. But it's hard to see America functioning as a republic if we lose that system.
Right, because you're losing the checks and balances. You don't have a judiciary that acts as a balance, as a check.
Right.
Well, who do you think? I mean, do you think the Biden administration put these 4 judges? I mean, it was a 4-3 decision, 3 Democrats rejecting it. Do you think that's at play here?
No. I think yes. I mean, in the sense, but I think the 4 judges. Colorado has been for about 15 years the subject of a ton of focus of the kinds of outside money like Soros and others have done. They transformed the legislature there by elections. They did initiative petitions and referendums to go first on marijuana. I mean, they've been an experiment in how to transform that. So, and they're elected, I think, or if they're not, they're appointed by the governor with approval of a commission. But they're not. That's not serious. I mean, it's a federal question whether you and actually in the ruling they say where Trump says I want you to peacefully go up to the Capitol, they actually say we're not convinced that he meant it. They can read his mind, and so the evidence is there. The words are there. But guys, if I can transition, because I know it's a short segment's always. I represent these January 6 folks, and on this 1512 charge that's now up to the Supreme Court, we have a systematic use of a law that was created in a vague way and used against we the people. And there's a guy named Andrew Weissman who was involved in this. He was on the Mueller team. And on the Mueller team, he said, use 1512 against Trump. And then after it didn't work there, actually AG Barr said no, they've used this 1512. It was designed for evidence and witness tampering, and it's being used to do a 20-year felony on people who were at the Capitol when Mike Pence gavelled out that proceeding. It's never been done. It's a scandal. And otherwise you go misdemeanor, for vandalizing or trespass. And then this 20-year felony. It's got hundreds of people in jail, and it's aimed at Trump. That's what he's charged with. So, again, where are the lawyers and judges who should say, no, you can't go that far. That's not our system. That's not what happened here. It's a real threat to our republic.
Well, this 1512 C2 that we've talked about, so this pertains to interrupting an official proceeding, but it had nothing like the federal government in mind. It was part of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, and it was related to corporate malfeasance in situations like Enron. And so now this application, and we know, too, from the history that, you bring up Weissman and the Mueller investigation, they were trying to insinuate that as a way to get Trump during the Mueller investigation. That argument was rejected by Barr, but it wasn't even really made by Mueller in his final report.
Yeah.
But you could see it was afoot, and so now it's being applied. And so this has the potential to remove some of the J6 related charges against Trump, but also to reduce the sentences or exonerate a whole bunch of regular Americans who've been charged under this, right?
Well, that's right. But let me be clear. Kinzinger and Cheney, they used the framing of a 1512 felony to say, oh, look at how these were violent felons. These people are facing 20 years. And the whole thing, $19 million that Kinzinger and Cheney spent on that select committee to brainwash the American people, and then they destroyed the evidence that they gathered. And my point here is that you're exactly right. If the Supreme Court looks at it and says, wait a second, that wasn't designed for limiting advocacy, even if it turned into a riot. That's not what it was designed for.
Right.
Stop that. Also, by the way, a second provision is about corrupt. It says you're supposed to corruptly do this, and that means get a personal benefit. None of these people at J6 were getting a personal benefit out of this. So if they strike it down, we have a chance that many will go free, but we also have a bunch that had to take plea deals because they were scared of it, some of my clients, and they're going to have a harder time unraveling that. But at least we're going to get exposure on how this lawfare is being used against we the people, and hopefully we'll see real commitment to going after these people that did it. And, I want to know who ordered the 1512. Was it Merrick Garland or the White House? And I want to know who had this design to do this.
What's your prognosis? What's your expectation of what the Supreme Court will do?
Well, first of all, they won't argue this until April, or early April or late March. So then they'll brief it between now and then. I think that they will reverse it. I think they'll strike it down. They'll probably limit it. Won't be dramatic. They'll say applied incorrectly, go back and figure it out, or Congress should clarify it. I will say this, guys. I don't hear enough people saying it. There's no way that Donald Trump has a trial on the D.C. issues before the election at this point. This will take the decision won't come down until the third week of June, and they won't they won't be able to try him before the fall election. So that gets us through the election, although Lord knows what they'll do between now and then on this other stuff, as we're seeing in Colorado.
Well, that's an interesting point, because Molly Hemingway had a good piece in the Federalist about how the courts are trying to expedite these trials best they can. I know Chutkin had to issue a stay on the J6 charges because of this 15C12 case that the Supreme Court's taken up. But, I mean, she documents how these D.C. Circuit Court judges are reducing the normal time that is granted in a federal proceeding of any sort, much less complicated cases that involve unprecedented constitutional issues like this one. And they're really trying to jam it home. And we've seen what Jack Smith has done in terms of trying to get expedited appeals on arguments that Trump's making. But you still think that the Trump will be able to push it off?
They're trying to do everything they can, but the Supreme Court won't be pushed around. So the decision comes down in late June, and then you just have to actually then restart a whole bunch of motions, and once you get within 60 days of the election, if they try to do a trial, Trump will go to the Supreme Court and say, you can't have this happen, and they'll back off. I mean, they're hemmed in at this point. By the way, one quick side note. For those of us that wanted to defend J6ers, we couldn't get the Department of Justice to give us the Brady material and access to stuff in any timely manner. It was too complicated. It was too hard. And so these guys have been rotting in jail, again, because they said, oh, look, it's a felony. You can't let them go home on misdemeanors, which you would, because of this felony, and they're held like a gitmo, and we can't get any of the evidence. And in this case, Smith is saying, oh, Trump doesn't need all the evidence. I mean, he's a tough luck. We got to get to this. I mean, again, the double standard is profound, but it's very disturbing that our federal court system, our justice system, is having this happen, and that there's not a wholesale bloodletting by lawyers saying, wait a second, we don't want this system, or Congress. And the reason why is it's all about get Trump.
Well, how are your clients doing? I mean, handling this, feeling like political prisoners?
Well, it's a terrible situation, and at Christmas, we spend a lot of our time at the Patriot Freedom Project trying to help the families, because a lot of these are working class folks, a very sort of true story. Most of the people stuck in jail are working class because if you got enough money, you can sort of force your way out a lot of times with the right lawyers. I hate to say that, but there's a little bit of that going on. And so we're worried about, oh, no, they're devastated. Look, these people are devastated. This is not it's because also in jail, you're being told by the system, you're an insurrectionist, you're really evil. And these folks, again, I got one guy that got out of jail on Friday after serving almost 2.5, 3 years. And nothing violent in his background, no violent allegations, nothing except 3 misdemeanors and this 1512. And he goes 2.5 years. And when he gets out, people tell him you're an insurrectionist. It's a terrible kind of torture that's been done intentionally by Cheney, Kinzinger, all these people to fulfill their narrative, to make them feel like they're on the side of the heroic, when in fact they're on the side of the liars, and more importantly, they're on the side of truly evil conduct that hurts people. It's terrible.
What about the issue of exculpatory evidence and the federal government withholding it in some of these cases, like the video that ultimately got the QAnon shaman's sentence reduced?
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking, Dan, because people don't really understand this. If you are a J6 lawyer or a defendant, you have access to the Department of Justice's video database. It's incomplete. It's poorly done. And it's under a protective order that makes it feel like you're dealing with Osama bin Laden because, again, of this idea that they were able to persuade the public it's an insurrection. So when you want to go look at the video, it's very cumbersome. It's very difficult. So that's one problem. And, lots of people are saying, hey, wait a second, I want to know the video for the whole period before I'm charged. And they and the courts say, no, you're only limited to this about your conduct. Here's where you are. If you're going to dispute where you are, then you can dispute it, but not, how you got there. And it's really a crazy thing. But now that the J6 video has been starting to be released by the Republicans, more people are able to see it. And now you're really saying, hey, wait a second, I should have had access to it's called Brady material, because I can say, look, I was asked in. The security guard or the cop said, come in and open the door for me. Like, you can't call it trespass when I was welcomed by the authority, right? So it's a mess. But again, it's a mess. And no one, instead of Liz Cheney and Kinzinger holding forth and saying how terrible it is, there ought to be people. I mean, I sound like an old-fashioned ACLU lawyer, and I'm a conservative. There ought to be people protesting the fact that the system is really mistreating we the people. It's way imbalanced. And that's ongoing. It's not going to change. Look, they've arrested almost 1,000 people, more than 1,000 now. And the guy already said, the prosecutor in D.C., he's going to arrest 1,000 more on J6 right up until the election day. In other words, we're going to use our power to push a narrative. And we hear every day from people arrested and that need help and Patriot Freedom Project. So it's there's a lot going on, guys.
Ed Martin, January 6th attorney, Patriot Freedom Project board member as well. Ed, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas. God bless you.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Right now is a really good time to get your student loans under control. There are so many people that we talk to every day who tell us that they just feel so much anxiety and overwhelmed by their student loans. But once they pick up that phone and call us and we're able to give them a plan and a strategy that may lower their payment by hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands of dollars, and may actually get their loans forgiven. The point is just to give people some clarity and control over their situation so that they know that whatever the payment is, whatever the plan is, there actually is a plan, and that plan is going to save them the most amount of money. I'm Ray Kaplan, and I can help you get debt-free, stress-free. Give us a call at 312-294-8989 or visit us at financialrelief.com.
The dentists are in, Amy.
Oh, yeah.
Your guy, Favia Family Dental. My guy, Phil Fidgel at Broadway Family Dental. They're part of our Business Benefactor program as part of our Food for the Poor campaign this holiday season, as well as some new businesses, Suburban Welding and Steel, Birdies for Kids. Birds or like golf?
I'm sure it's golf because
If it's golf, how about birdies for adults? I'll sign up.
you'll buy a few.
Yeah. Figure out how to. Heart Puzzles, General Parts, D&W Law, Mathnasium of Chicagoland, a bunch of new businesses have signed up to join these businesses as part of our Business Benefactor program to help us provide, through Food for the Poor, life-saving food this holiday season and for the next year for people on the brink of starvation in countries like Haiti.
Excuse me. Who's your dentist? I don't see. I see Dr.
Broadway
Joe
Family
Favia.
Dental.
Oh, you're
Broadway Family Dental
oh.
is Phil Fidgel. Yeah. Don't you doubt Dr. Fidgel.
Well, Dr.
He's got a drill.
Joe is better, I think.
Yeah, we'll have a dental off.
Whose
all right,
teeth are cleaner?
To join the Business Benefactor program, you make a tax-deductible gift of $2,500 through your business to Food for the Poor, and we at AM 560 will provide 41-minute commercials to air on this station promoting your business Monday through Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m., prime broadcasting hours. It's the best marketing deal in all of Chicago radio, and at the same time, you're providing life-saving food for more than 62 children in Haiti for an entire year. Wow. To become a business benefactor, just call our general sales manager. Her name is Ann Jeanette. Her phone, 847-472-8951. Again, that's Ann Jeanette at 847-472-8951 to become a business benefactor.
And Dan, as you know, Christmas is right around the corner. It is on Monday. And make a donation on behalf of a well-fed child or grandchild. I know one year I made a donation in my mom's honor and let her know, sent her a card saying you fed 2 children for a year with this donation. A one-time donation of just $80 feeds those children for an entire year. A gift of $320 can feed 8 children for 1 year. We believe in Food for the Poor. We were on the ground with them. They have these feeding centers. Your money is going directly to feed those in need, not only this holiday season, but around the whole entire year. So to donate anything, this is the number to call, 844-862-4673, 844-862-4673, or visit 560theanswer.com/food for the poor. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
we'll talk to our old friend, Dr. Joe Ladapo, who is the #1 public health guy for Ron DeSantis in Florida. COVID reckoning, 707.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
3 hurt in a fire at a public housing complex on Chicago's north side. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Preventing Republicans from voting for former President Trump. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what the Colorado Supreme Court has done. And Secretary of State Jenna Griswold tells MSNBC it's the right decision to take him off the presidential primary ballot in that state because of what happened January 6th.
Section 3 of the 14th Amendment has to apply to the presidency because if not, it's a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Now, that is a provision of the Constitution dating back to the Civil War,
which disqualifies candidates who engage in insurrection.
Fox's Peter Doocy. Now, the former president has not been charged with insurrection in his 2020 election-related indictments.
The Trump campaign says the Colorado Supreme Court issued a completely flawed decision tonight, and we will swiftly file an appeal to the United States Supreme Court.
Now, Republican Trump challengers are also critical of the court ruling. Vivek Ramaswamy calls it un-American. Nikki Haley says,
I want to see this in the hands of the voters. We're going to win this the right way.
The former president did not mention the ruling at a rally in Iowa last night, but did again call for mass deportations of migrants crossing the border illegally.
They're destroying the blood of our country. They're destroying the fabric of our country.
Telling critics who say that's Nazi Germany language, the former president said he's never read Mein Kampf, Hitler's manifesto. There's a push on 2 fronts to stop the fighting in Gaza, at the UN Security Council and in Egypt, where Hamas's leader has gone for talks.
Reuters reports intensive negotiations are underway to secure a second truce between Israel and Hamas. That would allow aid into Gaza and hostages out. As before, Israel would free Palestinian prisoners in exchange.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. A news helicopter crashed in New Jersey last night.
A pilot and a photographer were on board that local ABC station, Action News Chopper 6, when it went down in a wooded area about 35 miles southeast of Philadelphia. ABC 6 has confirmed that both crew members are dead.
America's listening to Fox News.
30 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. It's been 6 months since the Gage Park Fieldhouse was converted into a Chicago migrant shelter. Now residents are demanding it be shut down.
No one here has been happy to see what's going on in our community. I see people smoking weed all the time. At my job, when I get off the pink line, I see a whole gang of them just smoking. And it's like, if you're really suffering through poverty, where are you getting money from to afford a weed?
During last night's meeting, residents expressed concerns over some of the illegal behavior they've seen at the Gage Park shelter since it opened over the summer. Mayor Brandon Johnson's office is scrambling to provide more details about the 5-year-old boy who died at a Pilsen migrant shelter. The mayor's office says the boy doesn't appear to have died from an infectious disease. The cause of death is still pending. A Chicago man whose murder conviction was recently overturned is free after spending more than 12 years behind bars.
It ain't registered yet. It's gonna hit me though. When it hit me, I'm gonna be happy. I lost a lot. I lost all my friends. I lost a lot of things. I lost things I could never get back. No amount of money can repay the time that I lost.
Darian Harris was freed from the Cook County Jail last night after prosecutors decided not to retry him in a deadly shooting tied to a Southside gas station incident in 2011. 3 are hurt, 2 badly, following a fire at a public housing building on Chicago's north side. It broke out last night at the Ella Flagg Young Apartments on North Sheridan Road. And the University of Illinois Chicago is under federal investigation over allegations of discrimination. The investigations are part of the Biden administration's effort to take action against a rise in reports of anti-Jewish and anti-Arab incidents on college campuses across the country. The Blackhawks' Tyler Johnson nets the game winner in the middle of the third, and the Hawks ice Colorado 3-2 at the United Center. Bulls are back on the United Center hardwood tonight, taking on the Lakers. College hoops, Fighting Irish fell asleep at the wheel during the second half of their 65-45 loss to the Citadel. Loyola, a winner over Charleston Southern. Valparaiso lost to Samford. The news, a service of Jackson Hewitt Services, home of the Money Today guarantee. Application required. Finance charge applies. Loans by Republic Bank. Details at jacksonhewitt.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary.
Oil and natural gas keep going up as the chaos in Russia and the Middle East continues. Get in on the next major oil boom now and help the U.S. with your patriotic investment that can potentially pay you monthly income for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC-accredited investor and have at least $100,000 liquid now, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects and a huge write-off of taxes for 2023. Hurry! If you invest in oil and natural gas, you're allowed to write off nearly 100% of your investment for 2023. Natural gas is the fuel of the future, and it just keeps going up. Call 1-800-287-6691. Encore Energy is a major investor and experienced operator in its core area of operations. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call 1-800-287-6691. That's 1-800-287-6691.
Traveling for the holidays? Well, Pure Talk has you covered because they just added international roaming to over 30 countries. And here's the best part. There's no rate increase at all. Now, Pure Talk still saves the average family almost $1,000 a year with talk and text and data plans starting at just $20 a month. Now, from your cell phone, just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, make the switch, and do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Pound 250, keyword save now, and start saving on your wireless right now.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. The holiday season should remind us that faith and family are the most important things in life. And we hope that you succeed in coming together this holiday season with those you love and in the process creating some generational memories. Holidays have this magical power to magnify small things to ever greater memories over time. What a return on investment. Happy holidays.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Springfield area attorneys. 2815 Old Jacksonville Road, Suite 103, Springfield, Illinois, 62704.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Lee Gifford, and I've been blessed to have a wonderful career for a lot of years. People still come up to me all the time, and they go, "How are you, Kathy Lee? How's your va-va-voom?" And I laugh with them, and I tell them, still going strong, still taking my balance of nature every day, and telling all my friends and loved ones to do the same. Because it's balance of nature, changing the world, one life at a time.
Celebrate Christmas with us. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code KLG.
.707. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy outbound stalled truck right lane is blocked outbound right at Belmont. You're backed up to Chicago Avenue. Ike 29-390 into the old post office. Stevenson brake lights between Harlem and Kedzie. Bishop Ford stop and go inbound between Cottage Grove and the Dan Ryan. DuSable Lakeshore Drive northbound between Bryn Mawr and Hollywood. You're jammed up. Metro UP Westline trains are delayed because of a suspension of a train due to a mechanical failure in Oak Park. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Today, times of sun and clouds. Our high today at 42, becoming cloudy tonight, low 32. Clouds tomorrow, the high at 43. Clouds and a bit of rain on Friday, the high 43. Saturday, clouds and mild, the high at 47. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
30 at O'Hare. Next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Kentucky Congressman Tom Massey, who was with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on the campaign trail in Iowa. And the topic turned to COVID, where I think the governor still thinks he can make his bones in Iowa against the rest of the field, including Trump. And this was their conversation. First Massey, then DeSantis.
The day before they started 15 days to slow the spread, I could see this coming down. And I tweeted, I said, I fear that the infringements of our liberties in the next year are going to be greater than FDR's internment of Japanese Americans in camps. Now, I did that to kind of upset the Democrats and remind them that, like, the tyranny came from their president, right? So they got mad at that, but unfortunately what I said was true. Like, all of our, and there still are Republicans. There's still presidential candidates who don't get this. They do not. There's one presidential candidate who was responsible for perpetuating some of this tyranny, okay? And I was taking the brunt of that. And then there's some candidates, we don't know where they were when COVID happened, right? I think they were trying to sell drugs and, and more data to the government on people. Okay. And then there are just people who went along to get along, okay? All of those people constitutionally are disqualified for service. And the governor put his finger on it. The greatest threat to liberty that's happened in my adult lifetime was during COVID, and this is the only guy who was fighting when it could have cost him his position in government.
And so not only that, but then looking forward, we need a reckoning for what happened in this country. We need to hold these agencies accountable, Fauci, everything. Because right now, they would do the same thing all over again. Yep. They'd run the same playbook. And we need to make sure that this will never happen in our country ever again. I'm the only one running who will do that. I'm the only one that even talks about doing that. The rest want nothing to do with it.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by our old friend, Dr. Joe Ladapo, Surgeon General for the great state of Florida, author of the book Transcend Fear, A Blueprint for Mindful Leadership in Public Health. Dr. Ladapo, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's always a pleasure.
So, I know you're not on the political side, you're on the public health side, but but there's a reckoning on the public health side, I would argue, and get your reaction to that as well. And I wonder what sort of reckoning on the science has occurred in your estimation. I mean, as DeSantis said there, there is a reckoning that's required so the same people or different people don't do the same things that were done over the last 3 years in particular.
Yes, yeah. No, I'm definitely very proud of Governor DeSantis for all he's done with COVID and the leadership he's shown, especially early on when he was really out in front doing it basically alone in terms of elected officials. And absolutely, my gosh, COVID, more people are becoming aware of stuff that isn't adding up when the CDC is saying everyone's got to get this, but wait a minute, Europe said only older people need it, and where the data that is it really true that the data were based on mice for the so more is coming out there. But I would say that it's only the very surface of the problems of the misrepresentation of data. We actually see the same thing in climate change, where people are being fed certain points or certain points of information, but it actually doesn't at all line up with the data.
What's the most dangerous health data point, or not data point? What's the most dangerous health prescription that's being advocated on the topic of COVID that persists, even though the science and data have essentially proven that it is not the case?
Yeah, it would be their favorite talking point, which is safe and effective. On the safety side, there's a tremendous amount of data and we've outlined some of these points. We've discussed a few of them too. There's a tremendous amount of data that just completely undercuts the case that they're safe. And on the effective side, there are multiple studies that show now from multiple countries that after 3, 4, 5, 6 months, people who receive the vaccines are eventually more likely to contract COVID. There's no data for their use from clinical trials in terms of effectiveness at this point in the pandemic. The whole thing is just unsubstantiated, but they're still saying it.
What about these new boosters? Oh, I'm sorry, my mic wasn't on. What about the new boosters that they're pushing right now? And now they're pushing for different age groups, like 12 plus. You take this one.
Yeah.
If you're, what is this gobbledygook?
Yeah, I wish they would have forced the pharmaceutical companies who made billions and billions and billions of dollars to actually do clinical trials, but they didn't. So no one has any idea whether they are actually beneficial. And the studies that are done after they've been approved are these studies that are subject to a lot of biases, because there's such big differences, as you can imagine, between people who run out and get the booster and people who say no thank you. So it's hard to compare outcomes in these people. So there's no data. I mean, it's crazy to say that when you've got the head of the CDC so confidently encouraging Americans to go get this and encouraging doctors to tell their patients to get this, but there's no data, and it would be nice to have some data.
Is it the case, in your medical opinion, that what ended COVID was actually the Omicron variant? In other words, what happened was what a lot of infectious disease experts predicted would happen, expected would happen, what usually happens, which is as the disease mutated, it got more contagious but less lethal, to the point of not being life-threatening for most people.
I think that definitely contributed. And the other piece is just fatigue. I think the whole implementation of how the pandemic ran was not sustainable. All of this, stay at home, wear a mask, stay away from other people, remote learning, remote meetings, none of that stuff was sustainable. And the fatigue wore in, and Omicron, I think, just pushed it over the edge. I think even if Omicron hadn't come, I think we probably would be in a relatively similar place, because people just couldn't continue all of those efforts that were pushed and mandated often during the pandemic.
And now, what do you know about this new, they're calling it the white lung pneumonia out of China, and scaring moms, saying, look at all these kids that are hospitalized and be careful.
Yeah. So far, I mean, how can you trust China for information? Of course not, unless you're a liberal and you believe that you just believe what you want to believe, I guess. And that's nothing against liberals, I should say, but just so happens that we're seeing some of that happen out there. But so far, according to China, it's mycoplasma or other viruses, nothing novel. But the Lord, I mean, who knows really? They're just not a dependable partner. We just don't know. The WHO, CDC has been involved also. But we don't know. It doesn't seem that people are getting severely ill in terms of children. If it is mycoplasma, it's often called walking pneumonia because people can have it and they'll never even go to a doctor and eventually it'll clear up. It's just generally doesn't get people very ill. So it doesn't seem to be anything, but honestly, Wuhan is not the only lab out there that's tinkering with gain-of-function type research. So who knows what's coming and what could come out of China.
Do we have any review of the vaccine injured? I mean, this hashtag died suddenly campaign, if you will, documentation of people who died suddenly. Some maybe it was related to the vaccine and myocarditis, some maybe not. Do we have any review of this from the data that supposedly, I know it's voluntarily provided, but the data the CDC is supposed to keep, and all these cases of some profile, particularly with young athletes that died suddenly, and immediately the question goes to vaccines. Do we have any handle on the vaccine injured in any material way?
Not in a good way. I mean, there's some research. There's actually a study that was published on NCAA athletes looking at trends in cardiac death, and fortunately, they did not find an increase. What they didn't report was the number of times people had a cardiac arrest and were resuscitated, and we've certainly seen examples, very public examples of that recently during the pandemic. But there's not a good review, and you're absolutely right. There's actually excess mortality that's in widespread throughout our country, other countries also. Some people are concerned that it's related to the COVID-19 vaccines, the mRNA shots. I actually am absolutely, completely believe that it is at least partially responsible, because the effects of the vaccines on different systems of the body are, they're pretty wide, and unfortunately they are negative.
What is your general view on the mRNAs? And since it was a new technology, as it were, and so on and so forth. I mean, do you have a general perspective on them going forward?
I think that there's a lot of technology. There's mRNA stuff. There's RNA stuff. RNA interfering proteins. That's another drug class that we're going to be hearing more about. And there are even other types of drugs that interfere with or somehow interact with our RNA or DNA that we will be hearing about. And these things represent potentially amazing advancements, particularly for people who are suffering from diseases that hitherto were not treatable. But we have to exercise caution, because there's already research now showing DNA, and it's confirmed, like DNA in the mRNA vaccines. And there's concern by some scientists that could lead to integration with the human genome. And that's just one potential problem. There are other problems that, if we had more time, I would share with you. And we just need to be responsible around it. We need to respect the human genome. We need to know that there are things that we understand and things we don't understand. And that humility isn't present right now in the search for these new technologies. And that could be a huge problem for mankind.
So would you say, like the advertising campaign that CDC is doing right now, featuring Taylor Swift's boyfriend and others, that everybody should get jabbed and do a 2-for-1, get your flu shot and your COVID shot at the same time, without any caveats that you're describing? Is that a reckless public relations campaign?
I think it's worse than reckless. I think it's worse than reckless. And it's, they're going to reap what they sow. I mean, this story gets worse and worse, and it's not over.
Well, what about RSV?
It's worse than reckless. What do you mean by that?
I think that it is. I think that it is. It is very irresponsible for scientists who have some understanding of, of the data that have shown problems with these vaccines, including negative effectiveness, where people eventually are more likely to contract COVID-19, which is not normal. I mean, that is abnormal. I think it's incredibly irresponsible, and it undermines human health. It undermines, human autonomy, human sovereignty, and frankly, some of this work that's being done in terms of actually hasn't been done in terms of the safety work is potentially undermining the human genome.
And what about this RSV? I mean, RSV has been around for forever, and now they're acting like, oh, we have a cure, just get this vaccination, and they're even promoting on television, pregnant moms, if you really care about your unborn child, you should get an RSV shot for the child.
I mean, it's tough. RSV definitely causes a lot of illness. I've taken care of, I take care of adults, but really it's primarily a pediatric illness. And I've seen kids who in the emergency department and taken care of them during my training as a medical student when I was doing some pediatrics. And so it's a serious condition. You know how it is. If you're a parent, your kid gets sick, kid's small, or your kid's big, it's a scary experience. So I'm definitely empathetic to the need for these therapies. But the problem is that the CDC and the FDA, they're just irresponsible when it comes to vaccines. With RSV, there was actually a signal in the clinical trials for increased premature births, which was seen in another RSV that was similarly formulated, and it was essentially swept under the rug. Dr. Paul Offit, who switches sides depending on the day of the week it is, he actually voted against approval for the on the safety side for this RSV vaccine. So, and it's because he can see the writing on the wall that people are losing confidence in the stringency of the reviews. So, I don't blame people who don't want to take it, because the CDC, they've just not been good actors. You can't be confident in their judgment because all this crazy loony COVID-19 stuff that they've been doing.
And these national leaders in public health have made decisions that have worsened the nation's public health. Ironically, this story out of Gallup this week, key physical health metrics have notably worsened since before COVID-19 pandemic, including obesity, diabetes, and eating habits. The percentage of U.S. adults who Gallup classifies as obese is nearly 40%. A new high, nearly 14% of respondents say they've been diagnosed by a medical professional with diabetes. That's up a percentage point since 2019. So at the end of the day, now you have more people exposed and more vulnerable to something like a COVID-19 virus that, of course, we knew was more harmful to those with comorbidities like obesity than otherwise.
Yeah, totally. It's they took a wrecking ball to the health of people in our country, and I'm sure we'll be talking again, because my belief is that safety data on these vaccines in terms of long-term effects is going to get worse, and I think it will eventually be harder and harder for many of my colleagues who are still in denial and believe these things are great, or at least not harmful. They're just much worse than that. These are very, very, very bad vaccine products that probably should never have been used in human beings. We should have had higher standards and found alternative approaches to helping people manage COVID-19.
Dr. Joseph Ladapo, he is the Surgeon General for the state of Florida. He's also the author of Transcend Fear, a blueprint for mindful leadership in public health. Dr. Ladapo, thanks as always. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Attention! Road Knights is expanding the Army. If If you possess the heart of a warrior, the spirit of an adventurer, and an unrelenting drive to conquer new horizons with 3,000 miles weekly under your wheels, then hurry to call. Join the team that is strong as steel and united as convoy, and be on the road towards the glory. Have you had your commercial driver's license for over 2 years? Are you looking for an over-the-road driving job for the smoothest running, most established trucking company in the Midwest? This is not just a driving job. This is a mission. Visit online at roadnights.us or call 773-672-2062. That's 773-672-2062 or online at roadnights.us. Call or email today for details on a life-changing opportunity to drive for the best in the business. Victory is the only option. Road Knights Trucking. Join our mission today.
Do you have a home remodeling project you'd love to get done? This is your opportunity to lock in this year's pricing with Chicago's Design Build Dream Team. Forever Remodeling is now offering exceptional savings. Simply sign on by December 31st to avoid any price increases next year. At Forever Remodeling, their expert designers and installers will turn your dreams into reality. Act now and you'll not only protect yourself from future price increases, but also beat the rush and secure a preferred spot in their schedule. Call 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. Highly skilled to design and build.
All right. Can't wait to do it. Take Balance of Nature. Why? I like to do something that feels good because I'm not getting enough fruits and veggies on my own. Yesterday I had a salad. Is that enough? Haven't had fruit since the summer. So that's why I take Balance of Nature. 31 whole fruits and vegetables in those capsules. Real food, real nutrition. People who take it love it. Again, they say they feel good that they're doing something for themselves. And when you give your body the best possible fuel, you have more energy and you're stronger. So be one of the cool kids. Get your bottles of fruits and veggies today. 800-246-8751 is the number to call. 800-246-8751. And be sure to use discount code Chicago or simply go online to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call now at 800-533-6605 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and a Christian-owned company. Don't get stuck in the endless cycle of payments. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Christian-owned Total Financial Freedom now at 800-533-6605. That's 800-533-6605. 800-533-6605.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, we'll talk macro and microeconomics with our friend economist Steve Moore, like New York State trying to compel Chick-fil-A to open on Sundays. 7:37.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
7:30 on AM 560, The Answer. Donald Trump says the Colorado Supreme Court decision to ban him from the state's presidential ballot is completely flawed. Fox's Peter Ducey, reaction from the White House this morning.
This court ruled 4-3 that the majority believes former President Trump violated Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which disqualifies candidates who engage in insurrection. The Trump campaign says the Colorado Supreme Court issued a completely flawed decision tonight, and we will swiftly file an appeal to the United States Supreme Court and a concurrent request for a stay of this deeply undemocratic decision. And now even some Trump primary rivals are backing him up.
Fellow GOP presidential candidates Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy have said that the ruling goes too far, with President Biden yet to make an official comment. Authorities say lava spewing from a volcano in Iceland appears to be flowing away from a nearby town. The rumbling volcano south of Reykjavik finally erupted late Monday, spewing lava and smoke hundreds of feet into the air, but is now beginning to calm down. A pilot and a photographer are dead after a news chopper crashes in New Jersey. Authorities say Action News Philadelphia helicopter went down in Burlington County around 8 p.m. last night. Airports are packed with travelers, and starting this morning, AAA predicts the holiday season will be the busiest ever for air travel. Thursday and Friday, they say, likely to be the most active days. The record for airline travelers was set back in 2019, when over 7 million flyers crowded airports. It's been 6 months since the Gage Park Fieldhouse was converted into a migrant shelter. Now residents are demanding it be shut down. During last night's meeting, residents expressed concerns over what they're seeing as illegal behavior at the shelter. Around 400 are living at the Gage Park Fieldhouse, which 15th Ward Alderman Ray Lopez says is far more than promised.
It had to be temporary, had to be safe, and had to be healthy. And there are some issues that the community has raised over the past several months with regards to some of the aspects of that, particularly the activity and the loitering and the prostitution and things that we've seen in the community stemming from this shelter.
Mayor Brandon Johnson's office this morning is scrambling to provide details about the 5-year-old boy who died at a Pilsen migrant shelter. The boy, according to the Johnson administration, doesn't appear to have died from an infectious disease. His cause of death is still being investigated. 2 women are suing the Chicago Park District over allegations that they were sexually abused while working as underage lifeguards. A lawsuit filed in Cook County Court this week claims that the plaintiffs were abused by male supervisors. The Park District has already paid out, you may recall, nearly $2 million to multiple female lifeguards who have sued or threatened to sue. The Blackhawks' Tyler Johnson nets the game winner in a 3-2 win over Colorado. Bulls take on the Lakers later on tonight. Fighting Irish lost to Citadel in college hoops, while Loyola beat Charleston Southern. The news, a service of the Fireplace and Chimney Authority, Chicagoland's largest and most respected fireplace and chimney company. Call to schedule your appointment today at 630-279-8500 or visit their showrooms in Lisle or Elmhurst. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson here, and if you're a small business owner or you make the marketing or advertising decisions for a business, then this message is for you.
Our annual Food for the Poor campaign is underway, and this year we're helping to raise money for children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean who are desperate for access to food.
Millions of people, including many children, are suffering during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food prices.
Here's how you and your business can be part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor. Just make a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor, and AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
It's the best deal in all of Chicago radio.
Just call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951, or go to 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
Do you have a home remodeling project you'd love to get done? This is your opportunity to lock in this year's pricing with Chicago's Design Build Dream Team. Forever Remodeling is now offering exceptional savings. Simply sign on by December 31st to avoid any price increases next year. At Forever Remodeling, their expert designers and installers will turn your dreams into reality. Act now and you'll not only protect yourself from future price increases, but also beat the rush and secure a preferred spot in their schedule. Call 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. Highly skilled to design and build.
From director George Clooney.
What's that about making some money? Yeah, the rowing team. You get a part-time job and a cheap place to live.
This Christmas.
Come on, boys! That bunch of kids rode like no one else that's ever come through here.
Based on the inspiring true story.
We have a boat strong enough to qualify for an Olympic spot. Well, lay it down, coach.
Of the underdogs who made history.
The Americans at the 1936 Olympics. Row for your country. Row for each other.
The Boys in the Boat. Only in theaters Christmas Day. Rated PG-13. Some material may be inappropriate for children under 13.
Long day. Time to charge up.
Hey, just like my delivery truck.
Even kids know to keep business moving forward, it's time to make the switch to electric vehicles. Whether you have one van or a whole fleet of trucks, resources are available to help you make the changes that make sense.
Let's go.
Beep, beep. Go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
Pluto TV is your home for the holidays. Enjoy Christmas classics, all for free. Download the Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices. Pluto TV, stream now, pay never.
7:37. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. 26 on the inbound Kennedy commute, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Outbound, though, stalled a truck blocking a right-hand lane. It's between the Burns Circle interchange and Belmont for your big delay right now, and it is growing out to the junction and then out to O'Hare. 30 minutes on the outbound Ike and jammed up between Costner and Des Plaines Avenue as you roll out to Manheim. Stevenson inbound, 30 minutes, Tri-State into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Bishop Ford, stop and go between 103rd and the Ryan Merge. Things are slow on Route 53, northbound at Kirchhoff, with an accident on both shoulders. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Milder with times of clouds and sun today. A high of 42. Currently 31. Your next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. New York State is doing it, so you can expect that the Illinois General Assembly will take it up when they reconvene next year. The Rest Stop Restaurant Act.
Oh, please, do tell. What is this?
The Rest Stop Restaurant Act will mandate that restaurants at rest stops, or think, oases in Chicagoland, expressway oases, rest stops around the state, will require all the restaurants at these rest stops to be open 7 days a week. But one of the restaurants, the only restaurant that's impacted, is Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, because they're closed on Sundays.
Right, and always has been, even as Chick-fil-A has fallen in my estimation because, as usual, the offspring is not as talented and courageous as the founder. So as a transition from Pruitt Cathy to Dan Cathy, Chick-fil-A started doing things like giving up on charitable contributions to organizations that had any sort of perceived American, much less conservative bent, for fear of being targeted by the left. Of course, that targeting comes anyway, but I digress.
Well, remember when they couldn't come here because Rahm Emanuel said they didn't share Chicago's values?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And now they're everywhere in Chicago.
And here's the state legislator responsible for this enlightened measure, Tony Simone, explaining.
Sunday, Christmas Eve, thousands of New Yorkers are traveling to their families to find closed restaurants at rest areas across the state.
Which isn't an issue for most restaurants, but does single out one, Chick-fil-A.
We get hungry when we're traveling. You may not like our brother-in-law's or sister-in-law's cooking, get a snack on Christmas Eve. To find one of our restaurants closed at the thruway is just not in the public good.
Oh my
It's
God.
not in the public interest.
The whiner.
By the way, access to a restaurant on a rest stop is not a constitutional right, but even setting that aside, there are other restaurants at these rest stops.
Does that guy have a man bun?
Tony Simone, I'm not familiar with him other than his bubbling up to the surface with this idiocy. For more on this sort of imperious legislating from our no-betters in public office, pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, economist, author of Govzilla. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, guys. I was just listening to your conversation. I'm not sure I get it. So the law would require that restaurants are open
7 days a week? Is that the?
Yes, right. Chick-fil-A is not open on Sundays. It would require Chick-fil-A to open on Sundays.
I have a new law. They also have to be open 24 hours a day. Because sometimes I want a Burger King at
well, there's people who work the third shift who are hungry, you know?
Exactly. Yes.
I always demand that they make French fries at 10 in the morning at McDonald's. I say, oh, no. This is my lunch at 10 a.m. And they comply, but I have to pull over.
You know, I get so angry.
Well, that's it.
I want breakfast all day.
I want breakfast all day. I want lunch at 10:30. All these things should be legislated, obviously.
And this is my right as an American citizen. I have a constitutional right to go to a restaurant at 3 in the morning and see that it's open. I mean, come on, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard. I'm sure this guy Simone has never been in business his whole life. I'm sure, and so, but this is the new modern left that they treat businesses as if they're social welfare agencies. Look, I'm going to say something very controversial. Businesses are in business to make money.
Yeah, right. We've heard. Really? Yeah,
restaurants are in business to make money.
They're public goods. I mean, it's almost like I think he sort of said that in a roundabout way. You know, they have a public responsibility to be open 7 days a week. By the way, does that mean they have to be open on Christmas Day and on Easter and on Thanksgiving? Yeah, well, he could be driving to his brother-in-law's on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, and he needs a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich.
Yeah, I'm with him on that. I mean, this is my right as an American citizen.
Absolutely. So, what do you think about this? Speaking of business, now this is on the other side, ostensibly, the protectionist impulses of both parties. We got to protect American businesses from competition, and it turns out not to be very helpful, those protections. So the story of Nippon Steel's $14 billion deal to buy U.S. Steel, which is rankling some lawmakers, including Republicans like J.D. Vance. And this is U.S. Steel looking to sell after they've got renewed demand for steel because of all the public infrastructure spend coming out of the administration. And also,
don't
interestingly,
forget, by the way, you need a lot of steel if you're going to build windmills.
And there's no question. And also, interestingly, too, they've been able to reduce their overhead since they've been protected. I know it was supposed to protect jobs when Trump imposed these 25% tariffs on foreign steel, yet they had 29,000 employees in 2018, and they've got less than 23,000 today. The story of U.S. Steel.
Yep. So there's a couple of elements of this story. Let's go back a day or two before that announcement came, since the last time we talked. The other thing that happened on the trade front, which is really quite depressing, is that the Joe Biden has announced that he is not going to pursue a free trade agreement with Great Britain because those British workers, they'll work for like $2 an hour. We can't have them undercutting us on wages, and so it's really crazy. This is something free traders like myself have been working on for 10 years, and come on, we can't have a free trade agreement with our closest ally, which is also a high-wage country. And Biden said, oh, no, the unions won't let me do it. So he squashed that. And then now the situation with the steel, like, do I like it when these steel companies are being bought up by foreigners? I don't like it, but it's a private company. Anybody who wants to buy it should buy it. But I think the bigger story here is that the Biden has imposed so many regulations on these businesses. He's put a dent in our energy situation, so we're facing higher energy costs, all these kinds of things, and taxes. And so they load all of these costs on American businesses, and then they wonder why they're being sold.
Well, but U.S. Steel too. U.S. Steel is living by the government and dying by the government, so to speak.
That's true.
And so this is also a story about the folly of industrial policy, which both parties engage in.
Well put. And so we put all this money into them, and then they're being bought up by the Japanese. There's an old saying, by the way, that you can build windmills with steel, but you can't build steel with windmills.
Yes.
And that's what we're trying to do in this country. Is we're just derailing our energy. It's really crazy. They want to get rid of the natural gas, the coal, blah blah blah. So I think this is the first the first domino that's falling here because we're shooting ourselves in the foot under Biden's crazy tax, regulatory, and anti-energy policies.
Now, speaking of Biden, according to CNN, his staffers say that he's getting anxious and frustrated that Americans aren't adopting his new economy, that people aren't embracing this.
I know. I don't understand it.
Do you think he ever goes grocery shopping?
Yeah. So, look, first of all, we're 5 days before Christmas, so I will say this: the economy has gotten better, no doubt about it. Look at the stock market. I mean, it's been a boom market, so that's good. I want people to make money. I don't want people to lose jobs. I don't root against the economy, but I think that what you've got here, Amy, it's a great point. The people in Washington D.C. where I live. By the way, there's no problems here in Washington D.C. I mean, we're living high on the hog here inside the Beltway. We are the swamp, and nobody's going to drain this swamp. And yet, people outside of Washington, D.C., in Main Street America, they're not feeling the love because they're the people who've been the victims of the 20% increases in prices. And for middle and lower income people, that's caused real hardship. Now, I know none of the politicians understand that. Nobody in the White House understands that. So they just sit there and say, gee, why are people complaining? We've done such a great job. No, you haven't. You're making everything more expensive. People are having to borrow to pay their bills. People's real incomes have fallen by about $2,000 per family. How is that a good performance? If they want to call that Bidenomics, they can have it.
Another aspect of this, too, I mean, you were talking about sort of the administrative state, sort of the regulatory burdens, and how it hurts friends and enemies alike, politically speaking. So here, with respect to labor unions, the Labor Department recently proposed a 776-page rule to clarify a 2-page 1937 law regulating apprenticeship programs. I can only imagine the clarity that adds. And of course, these apprenticeship programs, we talk about it all the time. Not everybody's going to go to college, go to an apprenticeship program, get into a trade union. These apprenticeship programs are promoted by the trade unions. They're often done in conjunction with management and, a joint between management and trade unions. But here the problem is they're not compliant with the grand vision for diversity, equity, inclusion that the administration has. So now there's a requirement of at least 2,000 hours of on-the-job training, even though many can train workers in less time. There has to be accessible and equitable facilities, bathrooms that correspond to gender identity, personal protective equipment, and so on. I mean, 775 pages to clarify a 2-page law from 90 years ago.
So this is really outrageous because I'm a huge fan of apprenticeship programs. We need those. We need people who get training, and you could make the case. Why is it that you pay an apprentice, but the person has to pay to go to college? I mean, wouldn't it be better to do an apprenticeship program and actually get paid to be trained rather than to pay $60,000 to go to some university like Harvard, which is undermining our social values in this country? And so the best thing you can have is very vibrant apprenticeship programs. So we need more electricians. We need more nurses. We need more people who can do things in this country. Every one of those, industries where people actually make things or repair things, those industries, there's huge shortages. And people, by the way, a plumber, an electrician, a welder, those people make over $100,000 a year after 3 years on the job.
We had a plumber come to our high school, my kid's high school, and speak. He's making $1 million a year. Okay, hello. I mean, he built the company up, and it wasn't
supply and demand,
right?
Or he's got a lot of good city contracts, one of the two.
Well, maybe a little bit of that. True. But he had a great truck. He showed them a truck and show his business plan, and I don't know. I thought it woke people up to the trades.
By the way, you guys, you started this conversation, Dan, by talking about this crazy new law that your genius politicians in Springfield want.
No, New York.
It just came out yesterday, these new census data through July of 2023. I will give you each $1 if you can tell me the 3 states that lost the most population in the last year.
California, New York, Illinois.
You got it. And by the way, that's been the case for like 10 years now. It is so sad, and you can't. It seems like there's nothing that these politicians can do to stop this migration out of the state. In fact, everything they're doing is accelerating the out-migration, and it's sad to see. I have to say, it's sad to see the great state of Illinois being ruined by politicians. I mean, I think it was another 75,000 people left Illinois.
84,000. Yeah.
84,000.
Yep. Yeah. Just another year.
California. By the way, how about this? California, if this is amazing, California, if that trend continues since 2020 through July of 2023, if it continues for the rest of the decade, California will lose 4 or 5 congressional seats.
Well, that would be positive, actually. Yeah.
It sure would.
Same thing goes for Illinois and New York and New Jersey as well. So keep the flight going south and southwest and southeast. Absolutely.
I'm coming to Chicago on Saturday, and I'm going to stay downtown, see all the wonderful decorations and all the lights and a great restaurant. I mean, it's a great city. It's just being ruined by really, really, really bad politicians.
Just make sure you bring your personal protective detail with you.
It's that bad, huh?
Well,
just keep your head on a swivel.
Not great.
I was there last night, got scared to death,
guys.
so good luck to you, Steve.
Merry Christmas, Steve. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, bye.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Dave Nissen, CEO of PKF Mueller. As a CPA firm, we have been serving our business clients since 1968 by providing audit, accounting, tax, advisory, and consulting services. We as trusted advisors go beyond what our clients hired us to do by thinking outside the box to understand their operations and industry. We want to discover ways to increase their net income and cash flow by reducing costs or increasing efficiencies. To this end, PKF Mueller provides several client value-added services through strategic relationships. Our partners are specialists and serve the same type of clients that we do and add value by reducing our clients' overall electric and gas costs, discovering inaccuracies and overcharges on utility bills, assisting in financing of real estate, and helping to reduce uncollectible accounts and bad debt expenses. To learn more about our value-added service providers and how we can assist, call me directly at 630-524-5274 or dnissen@pkfmueller.com.
All right, if you have cold floors, guess what? The problem's in your basement or crawl space, and Permaseal can help with their PermaFoam insulation. They put it between your floor joists, and voila, it's warmer, which saves you more money because your furnace doesn't have to work so hard. So be one of the cool kids and call for a free estimate 1-800-421-SEAL, 1-800-421-SEAL, S-E-A-L, or go online to permaseal.net. Permaseal, known best for being better.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-353-2973 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food costs.
Food for the Poor is working with local partners to make sure these children and their families get the food they need to survive. And guess what? Your business can be a part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. And thanks to a generous match, that donation will help feed more than 30 children for an entire year.
When you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
Call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. Or go to 560theanswer.com and click on the Give Food banner.
Ah, ho, ho, ho.
Hey, what's wrong, Santa?
Well, it's these elves. The new ones all feel entitled. They don't want to work their way up the ladder. In fact, they hardly want to work at all. Then there's those social justice elves. They keep pointing out everyone's differences, dividing the elves and getting them all riled up. And don't get me started about the reindeer rights elves. The shop floor just isn't the happy little place it used to be.
We should have used Red Balloon.
That's right, Santa. RedBalloon.work is America's woke-free job board. Every day, we help good companies find reliable, motivated job seekers without all the woke nonsense. And our new Red Balloon recruiter service is turning traditional corporate recruiting on its head, delivering high-quality employees for a fraction of the price. Give yourself a Christmas gift and post your jobs on RedBalloon.work today. And use promo code SALEM to get 10% off your first month's job posting, because life's too short for a bad hire.
The holidays. Back again. Visiting with family and friends this time of year can bring great joy and happiness. But it also can unfortunately bring stress, hypertension, and overeating, all of which can make your blood pressure skyrocket. High blood pressure is one of the world's leading risk factors for death and disability, and often leads to stroke, heart attack, and kidney damage. That's why Chicago's very own Ira Antelis developed 120 Life, a juice drink and powder that lowers your blood pressure naturally. I'm drinking it, I love it, and it works like a charm for me. And for those with diabetes, the powdered form of 120 Life has just 1 gram of sugar. If you suffer from high blood pressure around the holidays or whenever, give 120 Life a try. It's a fantastic alternative to pharmaceutical drugs. Order today at 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Use coupon code LIBERTY at checkout. Save 15%. From all of us at 560 AM, my friends at 120 Life, have a wonderful holiday season, and please don't overeat.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, another trend in the wrong direction that occurred in 2023. The state intervening to take kids away from parents over gender identity matters. We'll have 2 cases, one from a red state, one from a blue state, at 8:08, but then we'll end happily with Christmas carols at the bottom of the hour.
This is your last show of 2023.
That's right, I'm out of here.
We got to talk about those Christmas bonuses for our crew. Anywho, but now let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Mayor's office releasing more information about a migrant boy who died at a City of Chicago shelter. Chicago man whose murder conviction was overturned has been freed. And the Blackhawks rally past the Avalanche. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
A sad day in America. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Former President Trump posted that on Truth Social the morning after the Colorado Supreme Court ruled he cannot be on the 2024 ballot in that state, that he violated a Civil War-era provision of the Constitution.
The first time Section 3 of the 14th Amendment has ever been used to kick any presidential candidate, in this case, one party's leading candidate, off the presidential primary ballot. Now, Colorado's Supreme Court finding that Trump engaged in insurrection on January 6th.
Fox's Griff Jenkins, the Trump campaign plans to fight it all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, calling it undemocratic. Now, the former president has been indicted over his post-2020 election conduct, but not charged with insurrection. His Republican challengers say the court's gone too far. It should be up to the voters. Vivek Ramaswamy says,
I pledge to withdraw from the Colorado GOP primary ballot unless and until Trump's name is restored. And I demand that Ron DeSantis and Chris Christie and Nikki Haley do the same thing.
Now, the Republican Party in Colorado just replied on X saying Ramaswamy doesn't have to worry about that. If the ruling stands, they'll convert the primary in that state to a pure caucus system where ballots aren't used. Former President Trump at a rally in Iowa last night repeated what he said that's upset his critics about migrants crossing the border illegally in record numbers.
They're destroying the blood of our country. That's what they're doing. They're destroying our country. They don't like it when I said that. And I never read Mein Kampf. They said, oh, Hitler said that in a much different way.
The UN Security Council could vote today on a resolution calling for Israel to stop bombing in Gaza to get more aid to civilians. There are also ceasefire talks in Egypt discussing another possible hostage prisoner swap.
Hamas's leader Ismail Haniyeh has flown from his base in Qatar to meet officials in Cairo, and talks are focusing on exactly who would be freed by each side. It's reported Israel insists women and sick men are among those released by Hamas.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. America's listening to Fox News.
31 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. It's been 6 months since the Gage Park Fieldhouse was converted into a migrant shelter, and now residents are demanding it be shut down.
No one here has been happy to see what's going on in our community. I see people smoking weed all the time. At my job, when I get off the pink line, I see a whole gang of them just smoking. And it's like, if you're really suffering through poverty, where are you getting money from to afford weed?
During last night's meeting, residents expressed concerns over some of the illegal behavior that they have seen at the Gage Park shelter since it opened over the summer. Mayor Brandon Johnson's office is scrambling to provide more details about the 5-year-old boy who died at a Pilsen migrant shelter. The boy, according to the Johnson administration, doesn't appear to have died from an infectious disease. Cause of death is still being investigated. A Chicago man whose murder conviction was recently overturned is free after spending more than 12 years behind bars.
It ain't registered yet. It's gonna hit me though. When it hit me, I'm gonna be happy. I lost a lot. I lost all my friends. I lost a lot of things. I lost things I can never get back. No amount of money can repay the time that I lost.
Darian Harris was freed from Cook County Jail last night after prosecutors decided not to retry him in a deadly shooting tied to a Southside gas station incident in 2011. The Blackhawks' Tyler Johnson nets the game-winning goal in the middle of the third, icing Colorado 3-2 at the UC. Fighting Irish fell asleep at the wheel last night during the second half of their 65-45 college basketball loss to the Citadel. Loyola beat Charleston Southern last night 72-59. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
FedEx shares are down nearly 12% after the shipping company's earnings came in below Wall Street forecasts, and it lowered its expectations for this year. It's also dragging down other shippers. UPS shares are down nearly 3%. Some Americans who owe back taxes are getting a break from the IRS. The Internal Revenue Service is waiving nearly $1 billion in late payment penalties. The reprieve is to help struggling taxpayers and reduce its backlog. The relief only applies to taxpayers who owe under $100,000 in taxes for 2020 or 21 who received the first notice before December 7th of this year. There's a sign of inflation moderating outside the U.S. Consumer prices in the United Kingdom rose at a more modest 3.9% in November. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
AM 560 news time is 8:05. Big problems on the outbound Stevenson. We'll have the update in traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
I love giving jewelry as a gift. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I want to tell you that Roland's Jewelers is the perfect place for that magical holiday gift for someone you love. I'm always amazed by their 5-star Google reviews. I love that they're family-owned. Hey, getting engaged? Well, Roland's Jewelers has a large selection of both mined and lab-grown diamonds at great prices. Choose from beautifully crafted engagement rings from designer Simon G. or Italian designer Roberto Coin, offering stunning diamond pendants and earrings. How about a Tag Heuer watch with cutting-edge technology? Listen, I've been a customer of Roland's Jewelers for a long time. You should too. They're so impressive. Their staff is expertly trained. I encourage you to visit Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville or visit RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS, RolandsJewelers.com. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust this holiday, just like I do.
Traveling for the holidays? Well, Pure Talk has you covered because they just added international roaming to over 30 countries. And here's the best part, there's no rate increase at all. Now, Pure Talk still saves the average family almost $1,000 a year with talk and text and data plans starting at just $20 a month. Now, from your cell phone, just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, make the switch, and do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Pound 250, keyword save now, and start saving on your wireless right now.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. There are a lot of great dads out there. Sometimes those dads get divorced. For more than 30 years, we have represented men in divorce, confronting the pitfalls that could devastate your finances or harm your family relationships. While every situation is different, our goal is to get the best outcome for you and your kids. Visit CordellCordell.com to take the first step.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Springfield area attorneys. 2815 Old Jacksonville Road, Suite 103, Springfield, Illinois, 62704.
It is 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center Time, a service of Salem Surround, providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. Go to surroundchicago.com today. Outbound Stevenson, big delays as you approach Route 83 all the way to Lamont Road with an accident on the left shoulder. At least 3 vehicles involved, and that is really gumming up things this morning on the outbound Stevenson. Dan Ryan right now stop and go inbound between 47th and Roosevelt in the locals. DuSable Lakeshore Drive jamming up southbound Fullerton down through Chicago. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, times of clouds and sun. Our high today, 42. Becoming cloudy tonight, low 32. Clouds tomorrow, the high 43. Friday, cloudy with a bit of rain, the high at 43. Saturday, clouds and mild, high 47. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
31 at O'Hare, 32 at Midway, 25 in Aurora, 32 downtown. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We've got some breaking news coming out of the FBI. FBI reporting it has officially adopted the LGBTQIA+ acronym in place of LGBT+.
Oh, my God.
I'm repeating.
Please
I'm
say
repeating.
it slower, Dan. We have to process this.
This is first blush. We'll update this story as more information becomes available. But the FBI has officially adopted the LGBTQIA+ acronym in place of LGBT+. This came after the Bureau Equality, which is one of the 9 diversity advisory committees within the FBI, proposed it. And it was approved by FBI executive management. And people say, what is Christopher Wray doing? He's doing the work, putting in the time, providing the leadership. Now that this acronym has been officially updated, You'll have LGBTQIA+++. Where's the two-spirit? Maybe I need to be on one of these committees that are unshackled, so they can focus their attention on illegally surveilling Catholics who go to the Latin Mass. I mean, this is a big development at FBI. Mm-hmm. And a somewhat related story. We've got breaking news from Northwestern Medicine.
Oh.
Northwestern Medicine will now allow patients to use the letter X on documents for their gender if they do not want to identify as male or female.
Yeah, I got that on my. I am a patient there, and yes, I got the email saying that we now have another option instead of male. You still have male, you still have female, but you also have X as an option.
Yes, the Northwestern Medicine Program Coordinator for the Gender Pathways Program, Becca Seabury, said the X-gender designation drastically changes the type of care patients get. How's that? Hey, doc, don't mind that penis. I'm actually a woman. Pay no attention to that.
It's a big business. It's going to be a $5 billion business by 2030, if not before, the way they keep pushing this.
Well, exactly. And so in 2023, despite the best efforts of the Riley Gaineses of the world and so forth when it comes to men participating in women's sports, I mean, the Lavender Bund continues on the march, largely unencumbered. That's the reality. And it's all fun and games when it's silliness emanating from the FBI, although it's not really that silly. Gives you an idea of the corporate culture there and maybe where some of these extra-constitutional / unconstitutional excesses emanate, but I digress. More importantly, it's the government further breaking down the family. Break down institutions of faith, places of worship, break down the family. These are the two great bulwarks against all-encompassing government power. And so we have stories that are happening. In states like California, where the government is formally antagonistic to parents who don't comport with the gender ideology of the political ruling class, the gender politics of the political ruling class. They will take your kids. But it's happening in Indiana, too. The courts will take your kids. First, just to put a face on these stories, here's Adam Vina, who's a father in California who was cut out of his son's life when mom decided that he was a girl.
Now that I know it's grooming started at the age of 2. I received when he was 2, I received a picture text message from my son's mother of him in a pink dress. I spoke out against that, and I thought everything had stopped. On my son's 3rd birthday is when my son told me that his mom bought him a pink dress. And I got down on one knee and I looked him in the eye and said, "Hey buddy, you're a boy and boys don't wear dresses." And we left it just as that. A couple days went by. I was really, really angry with it. So I sent off 46 text messages to her. No threats of violence. Never has there been any threats of violence to her or my son. And in those 46 text messages, she was able to get a temporary restraining order put on me, which kept me from my son. Fast forward to the court system. The judge from Pasadena, California, Judge Harvey Silverman, he ordered a gender assessment to be done on my son.
At what age? How old was his son?
I think Aiden was between like 3.5 and 4 at the time. He was 4 years old to have a gender assessment done on him. I spoke out against that in court, but they still went along with it. So I requested to sit down, wanted to be personally there, physically there, to find out what questions they were going to ask my son, because in my opinion, when it comes to treating somebody for any type of disease, there's always steps in place. And in my son's case, it went from A to Z. They never treated it A, B, C, and D. They went, "Oh, you want to wear dresses?" Never asking why he wants that, nothing like that. They automatically assumed he wanted to be a girl at 4 years old.
Because his mom put him in a dress at what age?
She started at 2 years old.
So he's still in diapers.
Yeah, pretty much. She's still in diapers.
And the judge now just treats him as though he's a girl.
Yes, they refer to my son in court as my daughter. They refer to my son as she, her pronouns. I received an email from an anonymous parent from his private school letting me know that basically saying, Adam, we feel that you need and have the right to know what's going on with your son. And at 4 years old, they treated him as full transgender. I received an email, an anonymous email from my son's mother telling the school that Aiden is now full transgender at 4 years old. They denied me.
Were those their words, full transgender?
Yes, sir.
Full, as if there's a part transgender or something?
Yeah. When we get off this thing, I can have you read the email, and you can diagnose that yourself. So I was denied to ask my own questions. I went as far as hiring my own child therapist to sit in on this assessment. They denied me that. And they also denied me a phone call to ask my own questions with the doctor. Not at one time have they ever sat me down, the father, to ask me what I think is going on with my son. The whole system has been stacked against me.
So, it's fun to make light of something like the X designation in Northwestern medicine and the gender pathways politicians / medical professionals, political activists / medical professionals. But when a court goes to, somebody like over at Northwestern medicine for this gender assessment because mom wants to pretend her 2-year-old boy is a girl, and then the whole system, as we've talked about throughout this year and years past, then the whole system, and this is increasingly more so, not less so, the whole system moves with rapidity in the direction of the ideology. And anybody who stands in their way, dad, mom and dad, you better get out of the way. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. So, California, you need to move. You need to move to a red state like Indiana. Meet Jeremy and Mary Cox. And before you hear from Jeremy and Mary and their story, and you think, these are some unsophisticated people from the hinterlands in the Hoosier State or something like that. Mary Cox is a clinical studies manager. She has a master's in molecular biology and biochemistry. Jeremy and Mary Cox.
In June of 2021, we unfortunately had to become reluctant warriors when our child was removed from our home after DCS became involved in our family life.
When our son was removed, it was like someone pulled the rug out from underneath us. As a father, I believe one of my main goals is to keep my children safe. And I can't do that when the state comes into our house and takes our kid because we can't, in good conscience, affirm his transgender ideology. His disappearance made a huge hole in our hearts and our family, but we will always love him and pray for him.
Our child was out of our home for 17, 18 months altogether, ultimately aging out of the foster care system. We were able to visit with him at his discretion, basically for about 2 to 3 hours each week. Though we pushed constantly for additional engagement, attended family therapies, we were never able to have an agreement for additional time with him. So as a mom, having limited access to your children it's heart-wrenching. I miss his laugh. I miss being with him, talking with him about everyday things, teaching him how to bake, how to cook different things. There's so many things that we are to our children, not just their first teachers, but basically their first loves. to miss out on that during such formative time in his life. We'll never get that time back. We didn't pursue an affirmational approach with our child because, first, as Christians, we believe God created us as male and female. And as parents, it's our job to help our children to reach their full potential. And the only way we feel to do that is to raise our children through our Christian beliefs.
Secondly, we didn't go with the affirmational approaches because we did a lot of research on this subject. There are many different approaches. We spoke to multiple mental health care providers and ultimately decided that affirmation was not going to help our child.
In our experience, this is not an isolated incident. There are a number of families here in Indiana experiencing the same issues that we've gone through. The mental health support services that we experienced were very much following an agenda towards affirmation only, which for our family was not going to resolve our child's issues.
Don't stop clapping. Affirmation only. You will comply, or we will take your kids.
It's come down to this now. The
Always-
government has complete control of our children, and
It
we
was
don't
always-
know what's best for them.
It was always going there. Mary Kay, Western Springs.
Hey, good morning, you guys. I'm going to start with, I found a picture of myself from 6th grade, and I'm sitting smack in the middle of the group class photo. I'm dressed like the boys. I'm wearing corduroy pants and a horizontal striped shirt that I got from the Gap. I look like every other boy in the photograph, and I was probably a softball player, pretty much a bruiser at that time, wasn't wearing a dress. I bet you they would have, in this day and age, I would have been encouraged to embrace my boy side of my life or my choice. Like if I could have been taken aside and told, hey, how you feeling? Do you feel more like a boy, and encouraged to do this transgender crap? Now that Jeannie Ives has parentsmatter.org going, so the website's a little finicky, but it's out there. You can find it, and we're getting that petition around, and we're going to get at it really well right after the holidays are over. I've got couple people who are going to help. We're just going to walk the western suburbs and see how many people we can get signatures from. It needs to be on the November ballot. It's a simple question. You can find it on parentsmatter.org. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Kevin, Austin, Texas.
I was happy to hear Mary Kay say that because remember 2 years ago, and I started listening to you when COVID started. I've got 6 brothers that live up in Chicago area, or 5 of them are still up in Chicago area, and they told me to start listening to you because they started working at home. I remember all the enthusiasm as far as parents getting involved, passion, that type of thing, and you even talked about it. And I remember you and I had a conversation once. Once COVID is over, that passion is going to die down. So I hope that people who were passionate then and wanted to get involved, I hope they continue to do it because this stuff is still happening. People need to do the block walking, to go out and get petitions signed. And I really hope that people that do that take over the GOP from the bottom up and the inside out. Every time I call about that, that's what it's about. People who actually care about their kids, who care about financial responsibility, need to get involved to change the GOP in Illinois. I'm down here in Texas. We had too many conservatives run for the school board. Now it's a 6-1. 6 liberals to one conservative on the school board. It's a brutal fight, but people have to stay engaged. Otherwise, this stuff is still going to happen.
Thanks, Kevin. George, Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, my only comment is teachers, leave our kids alone.
Very good Pink Floyd impersonation there, George. Thank you.
Got a
for
text
that.
message. This is the evils of communism, Dan and Amy. We used to go across the world to fight commies, and now they're here.
And by the way, the Jeannie Ives website that was mentioned for this petition that's being circulated, parentsmattercoalition.org. Parentsmattercoalition.org if you want to get involved in that petition effort to get the question that Mary Kay was referring to on next November's ballot. Mike in Plainfield.
Hey, I'm so confused on this whole matter with the acronyms and crap. Like, we're supposed to believe there's more than one gender now, but they still have bi in their acronym. Like, do they admit there's only two genders?
Yes. It's a bit confusing. Bi, tri, and so on and so forth. Yeah, no, I mean, there's, depends who you ask how many genders exist out there. You get a different answer from Northwestern Medicine than you will from the FBI, I'm sure. All of the experts. I mean, it's laughable, except when the consequences are revealed in stories like the Coxa story out of Indiana or the Venus story out of California. And that doesn't even get into all the stories we've brought to you over the last year and before of the detransitioners and kids that are in a horrible place physically and mentally and emotionally because of this primrose path they were led down, because as soon as you say the word, as I said, then the whole system moves in that direction and rolls over anybody trying to stop it.
Including parents. And Chloe Cole, I mean, she
Yes.
was on with Charlie Kirk, again yesterday, saying that they told her parents, look, there's such a high suicide rate that if you don't do this, there's a high probability that she will commit suicide. And that's all lies.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
With so many mesothelioma lawyers, how do you choose the right firm for you and your family? I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan, and here's my advice to you. Do your research. Results matter. Reputation matters. As America's largest injury firm, we have more offices, more lawyers, and more caring staff members than any other injury firm in the world. Last year alone, our team answered over 2 million of your calls and recovered over $1 billion for our clients. $30 billion was set aside for mesothelioma victims like you. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma, we'll come to you within 24 hours so our team can get to work right away. Wherever you are, whenever you want. Our goal is to get you as much as you deserve. Call us now, as the time to file a claim may be limited.
Call 1-800-602-3300. 1-800-602-3300. That's 1-800-602-3300. Call now.
All right, can't wait to do it. I'm going to be taking my Balance of Nature in a few minutes here. Why do I love it? Well, I've actually noticed a great difference. I feel stronger and healthier because I'm not eating enough fruits and veggies on my own. And I like to take Balance of Nature because I know I'm doing something for myself. I'm being proactive. And a lot of people who take it, I know people that have great skin. They say their hair's thicker, their nails are stronger. And I know one lady who's lost a lot of weight, and she said she does it because she, instead of getting a cookie or some chocolate, she takes those fruit capsules and chews on that, and that satisfies her. So be one of the cool kids. Order your bottles of fruits and veggies today. The number to call is 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago. Those are for first-timers because you'll get 35% off. Or what about this? Balance of Nature makes a great stocking stuffer. Yes, it does. Give it for somebody you love. Give the gift of health. 800-246-8751 or online at balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Tis the season coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, we're going to be treated with the musical stylings of the Anthony Kavalkowski Orchestra. And we promise that Amy won't sing along, so you can listen. 8:38.
So rude. But now let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. All right, you proved your point. You proved your point.
8:30 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning, everyone. We're following news Former President Trump says he'll now appeal the Colorado Supreme Court's ruling to ban him from the state's 2024 ballot, calling the decision completely flawed.
They don't want me. That's why they've indicted me 4 times. That's why I have 2 civil trials. That's why all of this stuff. If they want me, they'd give me a free pass. Oh, please come in, step right in. They are doing everything possible to get me out of the race, and it's not going to happen.
Colorado Supreme Court saying Tuesday he violated the 14th Amendment's insurrectionist ban on January 6, 2021. The war between Israel and Hamas is raging in the Gaza Strip. Israeli President Isaac Herzog saying on Tuesday the country is willing to engage in some talks.
Israel is ready for another humanitarian pause.
The political leader of Hamas is in Cairo today talking with Egyptian leaders about the Israeli hostages and a possible ceasefire. Nearly 5 million people who owe back taxes will receive $1 billion in relief from the IRS. It applies to people and businesses that didn't get those automated reminders about their back taxes during the pandemic, and then those who owe less than $100,000 for 2020 and 2021. Interest is still being charged, but the failure to pay penalty is what is being waived. Officials in Iceland say lava from an erupting volcano appears to be flowing away from a nearby town. The rumbling volcano south of Reykjavik finally erupted late Monday, spewing lava and smoke hundreds of feet into the air. Mayor Brandon Johnson's office scrambling to provide more details about a 5-year-old boy who died at a Pilsen migrant shelter. The boy doesn't appear to have died from an infectious disease. His cause of death is still being investigated. A Chicago man whose murder conviction was recently overturned is free after spending more than 12 years behind bars.
It ain't registered yet. It's gonna hit me though. When it hit me, I'm gonna be happy. I lost a lot. I lost all my friends. I lost a lot of things. I lost things I could never get back. No amount of money can repay the time that I lost.
Darian Harris was freed from the Cook County Jail last night after prosecutors decided not to retry him in a deadly 2021 Southside gas station shooting. 3 were hurt following a fire at a public housing building on Chicago's north side. Flames broke out last night in a 4th-floor unit at the Ella Flagg Young Apartments on North Sheridan Road. The Blackhawks' Tyler Johnson nets the game winner. The Hawks ice Colorado 3-2 at the United Center last night. They take on Montreal on Friday. The Bulls will try to get a winning streak going when they host the LA Lakers at the UC tonight. College hoops, Fighting Irish fell asleep at the wheel in the second half of their 65-45 loss to the Citadel at the Joyce Center, while Loyola beat Charleston Southern 72-59. The news service of the Fireplace and Chimney Authority called to schedule your appointment today. 630-279-8500 or visit their showrooms in Lisle or Elmhurst or online fireplaceandchimneyauthority.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Lee Gifford, and I've been around a long time. Every one of us, as we age, realizes that things are changing in our bodies, in the world around us. Lots of times I don't like what's happening, so what can I do about it? Well, the one thing we can do is pray, right? The other thing we can do is take better care of ourselves. I do that by taking Balance of Nature because I'm not really good at nutrition. I'm too busy, I'm on the run, and I don't eat enough vegetables, and I certainly don't eat enough fruit. And when I take Balance of Nature, I can feel good that I've done something for myself that I can actually control. So take control. Get Balance of Nature.
Celebrate Christmas with us. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code KLG.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson here. And if you're a small business owner or you make the marketing or advertising decisions for a business, then this message is for you.
Our annual Food for the Poor campaign is underway, and this year we're helping to raise money for children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean who are desperate for access to food.
Millions of people, including many children, are suffering during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food prices.
Here's how you and your business can be part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor. Just make a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor, and AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
It's the best deal in all of Chicago radio.
Just call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951, or go to 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman. Listen Saturday mornings at 8. Learn more at willsave.com.
8:37. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center Time is a service of Mattress Firm. At Mattress Firm's once-a-year sale and clearance, you can save up to 60% on select mattresses, plus score a free adjustable base on qualifying purchases. Here's to better sleep in 2024. The right mattress matters, and Mattress Firm will find yours. On the Kennedy, 39 minutes O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange this morning. The Ike stop and go inbound between North Avenue and the Tri-State. Typical morning heavy. Stevenson outbound, bad accident between Route 83 and Lamont Road. Accident on the left-hand shoulder. Multiple vehicles are involved. Hanover Park report of an accident. County Farm and Windmill. Downers Grove an accident. 63rd and Woodward. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Milder this afternoon. Clouds and sun throughout the day. High 42, becoming cloudy and 32 overnight. Mostly cloudy officially at O'Hare and 31. Your next news update is at 9. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, imbued with the holiday season we are. So we've got a special guest, or special guest plural, the Anthony Kavalkovsky Orchestra, featuring Rob Pastori and Delilah Owens. Got some people to introduce here.
Oh, yes. Go on.
So Rob is the tenor and Delilah's the soprano.
And all of you wave, because if you're watching us on our Signature Bank video or live stream at home, there they are. You can match the names with the faces.
Keyboards, Bobby Schiff.
Bobby, give us a hello. There's Bobby.
And on the bass is Mike Sterin.
Hi, Mike.
All
Had
right.
one of those in my house for years.
Sterin. Okay. Or a bass, you mean?
The bass.
Oh, you had a mic or you had a bass?
No, because Peyton played the bass.
I see.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, I
I
mean,
know.
let's. I don't know, Maestro, take it away. I mean, you
Yes.
give us a little bit background on the orchestra and what you're going to regale us with, and let's go.
Yeah. What are you going to be singing? Oh, you got to talk into the mic.
We're going to do some sounds of the season, and we're going to begin with Silent Night.
Heard it.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, and yon virgin land shine.
Lovely, very good.
You have an
Wow.
angelic voice,
Yes,
Delilah.
it's a great voice.
Thank you so
Great
much.
voice.
Wow.
Yes. Amy, resist the temptation to chime in.
I really had to because I really wanted to harmonize on that, but I did it to myself.
Nice restraint.
Next time, jump right in.
Letting you-
Yeah, everybody knows these songs.
All right, so you guys have been together for how long, and are you performing anywhere this Christmas season, or how did COVID affect that? And you can,
Going door to
We've
door,
been-
maybe?
Yeah.
We've been performing all over this Christmas season for various venues, different events. But in the past, we've done some large music productions with a 44-piece orchestra. But the last one we did was right before COVID in 2019, and we just haven't been able to get it started up again since then. And it takes a lot of money to make those things happen. But anyway, we're happy to be doing what we are doing and bringing Christmas cheer through music, the love and peace God sends us through music. So beautiful voice now of Rob, and he's going to sing Jesu Bambino.
Take it away.
When blossoms flowered mid the snows upon a winter night was born the child, the Christmas rose, the King of love and light. The angels sang, the shepherds sang, the grateful earth rejoiced, and at his blessed birth the stars their exultation voiced. Venite adoremus, venite adoremus, venite adoremus, Domine. Again the heart with rapture glows to greet the holy night that gave the world its Christmas rose, its King of love and light. Let every voice acclaim his name, the grateful chorus swell. From paradise to earth he came, that we with him might dwell. Venite adoremus, venite adoremus, venite adoremus, Domine.
Yeah. How about it?
Gave me
You
the
know,
chills there.
I'm thinking Rob and Delilah. I mean, have you guys ever done like America's Got Talent or something? You could be like the next Jonathan and Charlotte, the two of you together. You
We'll
know?
consider that.
Yeah. Are you singing a number together by any chance? Sharing one microphone? Am I putting you on the spot here? Probably, yes. Do you want to?
I am down to do whatever. I'm very good with the flow this morning.
Yeah. If you want to come, you can come over on this side. And what number do you have next? And then later you can come on over here and use my mic.
Something from Metallica, maybe, or
Well, she'll sing one by herself, then we'll do O Holy Night, but we'll have to stand together.
Okay. All right. Whenever you're ready, we'd love to hear the next song that you have prepared for us.
This was one that Bing Crosby was known to sing. If you hear on the radio now, White Christmas, most of the time it's the Bing Crosby arrangement, which is great old Christmas classic. So, Delilah, take it away.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the tree
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Lovely.
Ooh. All right, do you want to come on over here for your last number? You're okay together? You want to stand together? Yeah. Okay. What could go wrong?
Conductor, let's get this arranged.
All right, let's ready?
Sure. This is actually one of my favorite Christmas songs. Next to Silent Night, this is "Oh Holy Night." I think it's one of the most beautiful carols written.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of the dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees, oh, hear the angel voices, oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born, oh, night, holy night, oh, night divine.
Yeah.
That was
Wonderful. It's the Anthony Kavalkovsky Orchestra featuring Rob Pastori and Delilah Owens, as well as on keyboards Bobby Schiff, on the bass Mike Starin. Ladies and gentlemen, that was outstanding. Thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you all.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us.
See it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A human catastrophe is closing in. Nobody knows how far this one is going to go. You can feel the heat as tension is rising globally. War is expensive. Open a Noble Gold Investments IRA today, and you can claim a free 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin. Just use the promo code GOLD. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com now.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. They're a bank with roots right here in Chicago, and their decisions are made locally too. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Mick O'Rourke, President and CEO of Signature Bank. We'd like to wish you happy holidays from our Signature Bank family to your family.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality this holiday season. Visit signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
'Tis the season to think boating. Yes, Freedom Boat Club is the world's original and largest members-only boat club, now with 20-plus locations near you throughout greater Chicagoland, Wisconsin, Northwest Indiana, and Southwest Michigan, plus 375 nationwide and global locations. Join Boat in Freedom's warm weather harbors now and think spring. Your membership enables access to their massive fleet of late model boats, slipped, insured, stored, maintained, cleaned, and ready for your use. Just pick the location of choice, reserve a boat, show up at the dock, and go boating. Membership includes training to enhance boating skills and comfort level at the helm. It's never been easier to give the gift of boating. Imagine the smile on the face of your loved ones when they realize they just became boaters. Joining is easy. Go to freedomboatclub.com. Find a location near you, zoom in on the map, and select the location that works best for you. That's freedomboatclub.com or call 888-781-7363. At Freedom Boat Club, boating season never ends. Merry Christmas.
Imagine what your future looks like. Is the picture a little blurry? Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Alpha Wealth Group. When we look ahead, we're visualizing where we want to be, and for retirement, that can be hard without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost, there is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Ah, ho, ho, ho.
What's wrong, Santa?
It's these elves. The new ones all feel entitled. In fact, they hardly want to work at all. Then there's those social justice elves. They keep pointing out everyone's differences.
We should have used Red Balloon.
That's right, Santa. RedBalloon.work is America's woke-free job board. Give yourself a Christmas gift and post your jobs on RedBalloon.work today. And use promo code SALEM to get 10% off your first month's job posting. Because life's too short for a bad hire.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food costs.
Food for the Poor is working with local partners to make sure these children and their families get the food they need to survive. And guess what? Your business can be a part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. And thanks to a generous match, that donation will help feed more than 30 children for an entire year.
When you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
Call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. Or go to 560theanswer.com and click on the Give Food banner.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, Dan, what do you want to say? Your final
Merry
words of
Christmas.
2023.
Top of the world, Mom. No, Cagney took that. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We'll see you on the other side.
All right, and thanks to everyone. It's 9 a.m., WIND, Chicago.
No such thing has ever happened in our country before. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Former President Trump wrote that on Truth Social as his campaign vows to appeal after the Supreme Court in Colorado kicked him off the state's 2024 primary ballot, ruling he led a January 6th insurrection, disqualifying him under a Civil War-era provision of the Constitution.
A little bit surprising, though, last night as Trump was here in Iowa for a rally, he did not specifically bring up the events happening in Colorado. However, his website now fundraising off of what's happened. Basically, when you go onto his site, people are just told, here's what we think, and then are asked to chip in.